Welcome to the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. And today we are coming at you with our first positional rankings of the 2025 NFL draft season. It's our top 10 edge rushers. And you better enjoy this one because after this, we're just ranking 10 long snappers week after week. We're going to be going into the weeds by draft night. It's going to be our top 50 long snappers in the 2025 NFL draft, but we figured you deserved at least one real position where you see more than their ass on television. But Victor, how are we doing today?
We're doing pretty good. We're back. We're back in the studio. It's nice to be back. Listen, I love the computer episodes, but I do not like the computer episodes because they do not come out well.
The real audio quality feels good.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice to be able to mess around with mics again.
Well, all this edge talk, it's got me in the mood. So, Victor, are we ready to get kinky?
We are ready to get kinky. The first positional rankings of the season. 'Tis the season. We are only a month away from the draft, Elson.
Man, it feels like it's creeping up, but at the same time, I've been grinding so much tape that it almost feels like it's been slowing time down.
Yeah.
Existence just feels like one cycle of watching all 22. I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if I slept last night, but I know that we're here in the studio and we are ready to talk some football. So for the format, I was thinking that we'll do our, probably 10 to 6 and then 10 to 7 and then 6-5-4 and then 3-2-1.
All right.
And we'll contrast those. Before, I'll shout out the guys that I've watched all 22 on that did not make the cut. I've only got 3 of them. I'm halfway through one of them, and I feel like I get the gist. They are JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. Neither one made the top 10 for me. Jared Ivey from Ole Miss and Princely Oman Mielen, also from Ole Miss. So 2 sets of twins there. Do you have any of those guys in your top 10?
I do. I have. We'll leave.
We'll wait.
I have one of those guys in my top 10, but guys who did not make my top 10, who I have watched all 22 on. There are 3 guys as well. 3 guys I wanted to shout out. First off, Nic Scourton, just 11. I know it's a little bit under where a lot of people have him. I don't know. You probably have him in your top 10. We won't say it, but you probably do. Everybody seems to have him in the top 10. I still like him. He's a good player. Just did not make the cut. This is a freaky class, man. And it felt like most classes he's top 10. I couldn't believe he wasn't. And JT Tuimoloau didn't make the cut for me either. And then obviously he was never making the cut for anybody. But I wanted to give him a shout out. I watched him while I watched Carson Schwezinger, UCLA edge, Oluwafemi Oladejo. I love this guy. I think he should be picked on day 2, probably towards the latter end. But still, I mean, he's talked about as like a round 4 through 5. Now I want him in the 3rd round if I'm an NFL team. So I wanted to give him a shout out. Is he the most athletic guy of all time? No. Is he the biggest guy of all time? No. But is he fun to watch? Yes. Give me Oluwafemi Oladejo as one of my edge sleepers, one of my gems in the rough.
Absolutely dominated the Senior Bowl. He's actually the next guy up in my list of priority edge watches, so it is going to be a fun watch. Just to touch on JT Tuimoloau real quick, super heavy hands, plays the run.
Oh, yeah.
You see anything else particularly intriguing with him? It feels like you know what you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a classic guy. I mean, I have him as a pure round 3 grade, and I don't give out pure round 3 grades often. Like pure round 1, I give him out. That's round 1 talents. But after that, it's rare for me to just give out a pure round 1, pure round 3. It's 2 through 3 or 3 through 4 usually. But he's just like, he's the epitome of a 3rd round edge rusher. You know what you're getting with him. I think there's room to grow as a pass rusher, and if he can maybe eclipse that ceiling that people have attached to him. Because there were some moments where the bull rush came in, and there was some true pocket collapsing power there, but it was rare. But as you said, just a good run defender. Could use some work on diagnosing overall. Sometimes he's a step late, but that's okay. He's a 21-year-old junior, so still plenty of time to grow there.
He is a senior. He's a 22-year-old senior.
The 22-year-old senior?
But,
really?
Okay, this is like a mini tangent. It feels like there are more 5th and 6th-year seniors than there are 3rd and 4th-year players, so that's still young. That's still time to learn how to process the game at a higher level. That's still room to put on weight and play strength. That's not a bad weight to be at, so I think we see Tuimoloau very similarly.
Yeah, and I feel like I watched his game against Michigan in 2023, then I went to the 2024 tape, and there was a significant jump, so there's something there. In the pass rush, I don't think he's useless, and as you said, he's a really good run defender. So round 3, I think a team would be good to have.
And he's gotten better year over year as well, like you touched on. All right, so I'll do my 10 to 7. At number 10, I've got Josaiah Stewart. Did you watch him?
I did not watch him. He did not make it.
Okay. You did not watch him, though.
I did not watch him.
Okay. So I'll talk about him after. I'll do him first, and then we'll move into the guys that overlap, if there are any of them. Because number 9, I have Pearce Jr.
Whew.
from Tennessee.
Whew.
Number 8, Landon Jackson from Arkansas. And number 7, you're not going to like this one either, Mike Green from Marshall.
All right, well, I'll go through my 10 through 7. Number 10 is Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. Number 9 is Landon Jackson from Arkansas. Number 8 is Bradyn Swinson from LSU. And number 7 is Mike Green from Marshall.
All right. Okay, so that's pretty impressive agreement because I had Jack Sawyer at 11. So I'll take Josaiah Stewart. You can take Bradyn Swinson, as I have not watched him. Josaiah Stewart may be the most purely fun edge rusher in this class to watch. My pro comp for him, initially, it was going to be Tyrann Mathieu because he's just a fucking honey badger. And then I realized he's not a honey badger. He's a Wolverine.
Yeah.
He's just absolutely shot out of a cannon, plays with his hair on fire. The big storyline with Josaiah Stewart is that he's 6'1", 249 pounds. He does have sub 32-inch arms. I think you can get away with that at edge a lot better. You can get away with that at tackle because it's a dictating position. There are just more ways to win. You can play on your own terms. He is just a ball of energy. I think he has the best raw quickness in this class outside of Abdul Carter. Truly, he has the ability to just like race slow tackles to the outside shoulder, and they can't even get a hand on him. There are not a lot of players in this class who can do that, and this is a stellar edge class, so really exceptional athlete. Basically has a two-way pass rush play, and he's either going to run around your outside shoulder and try and rip off of you, or he's just going to throw himself into the B gap and hope that he can smash through that corridor. And I don't think his play strength is terrible. He does have the strength to, when he gets the leverage advantage, rip off of the offensive tackle and turn into the corner, and he does have the play strength to fit through a rapidly condensing A or B gap. They like to run him on stunts, but not strong against the run, doesn't really know what he's doing, doesn't have a plan, has gotten better every year, and I'm always more willing to bet on guys who just play really goddamn hard. I don't think that he has number one upside. He's never going to be big enough to be a guy you really like having out there on 3 downs. Maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that he's so lightning quick and he can keep getting technically better that he can command that type of pass rush production, but that much of a size outlier. I like him to be definitely a good 3. He's just such a unique athlete. It's like, how is this guy not going to be an effective pass rush specialist? And I do think he has the ability to grow into a guy who's so good getting after the quarterback that even if he has some deficiencies against the run, you're just fine with him out there as your number 2.
You think he could be in like maybe because there was a point in time for a year or so there that Hassan Reddick was considered a true number 1. Do you think he could be Hassan Reddick?
I do think he could be Hassan Reddick. Now,
because Hassan Reddick was 235. 6'1", 235 coming out of college. And Stewart's what? You said 6'1", 245?
249.
249.
He's really well built. He is all muscle, which he's 6'1". He's only got so much more room to put on muscle. I don't actually think it's the play strength with him. How long are Hassan Reddick's arms?
They're probably longer than I think. Let's see.
Oh, I realize I got to type in arm length. You can't just type in arms. That just makes you look like a weirdo.
Or you can always just type in combine. Generally,
oh, that's true.
Measurements.
I'm typing in show me the arms. 32 3/4.
Okay.
So about a full inch longer than Josaiah Stewart's. Ooh. Still, poor. I think Josaiah Stewart can get up to that level. I don't think he has the same degree of bend, but he could be similar. Maybe half a step down. So maybe instead of being, when Hassan Reddick was in his prime, a pretty bona fide number 1, maybe just a really good 2, a low-end number 1 is his ceiling.
Yeah. No, I mean, I haven't watched him, but when I was watching Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, there's sometimes number 0 pops on the screen. I had to look up who he was. I was like, there's no way this guy isn't draft eligible unless he's a sophomore. There he is, Josaiah Stewart. Ridiculous get off. And I know our guy, one of our favorite draft analysts, Brett Coleman, loves him. I know he loves him. I've seen him talk about him. High motor guy, high character guy as well. So there's a lot of tools there. I'm excited to get to him.
You love players that just play absolutely insane at all times, and we'll get to a couple of them as we go down the list.
Oh yeah. Speaking of players that play absolutely hair on fire, insane all the time, Jack Sawyer is my number 10, and he's got a high motor.
He is just uber consistent. Now, that being said, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing on his motor. He is always pushing the pocket. He is always shedding and working toward the play. I noticed he plays really slow. It's almost like, from what I've seen, which is like, this is like a 2-game all-22 sample size, so not a ton of reps on him. It's almost like he's a really slow athlete who doesn't see the game very fast either. One kind of big realization for me was there was a game where he had 2 or 3 tackle opportunities, and the ball carrier was just able to run by him all 3 times. I don't remember who it was. It was a fast running back. And Jack Sawyer, who's a big guy, couldn't even get a paw on him. And I was thinking, okay, if you can't redirect and see the game quickly enough, I have concerns about other areas. But there's obviously a lot that he does well. Tell me more about him.
Yeah, so I think that's where I kind of differ from some people. I liked his athleticism better than some people did. Now, I still do have him as a round 2 through 3 talent. Because I don't think, for other issues that I have not heard talked about, namely, he is big, 6'5", 260, but he is below 32-inch arms. And that is not playable at the next level if you're going to be a power guy. So that's where my main concern lies with Jack Sawyer. But I think he's a better athlete than advertised. And in the run game, I thought he did a really good job of diagnosing. Sometimes he's late to get around and get those hands off. But I think that was, again, a factor of his short arms. He just could not stack and shed. He just couldn't do it occasionally because these longer tackles would get on him, and they just wouldn't be able to let him off. So I don't think he's a plus athlete. I think he's average, and I think a lot of people aren't giving him that credit. So there were some moments there where he runs on a stunt, and I was like, there's something there. There's a little wiggle. I think his bend, maybe it was just because he was comparing it to JT Tuiamaleo, who does not have any bend whatsoever. But Jackson, he's got something there, especially bend is, we talk about it a lot, but bend through contact is almost equally as important, and it's baked into the bend score, and he's really got that. As far as consistent, like it looks about the same as if he just had to turn a corner, you know? So there's some stuff to like. He's got really good, just overall good technique, a polished player. Not really going to be the guy to move the pocket, not going to be the guy to beat you around the edge, but he will win occasionally. I'm looking at a guy who I feel really comfortable with him as my number 2 edge rusher. You know what I mean? He's going to defend the run very well. I feel good about that. He can play day 1. Maybe he snags 5 or 6 sacks a year for me, and that's absolutely good enough. So round 2 through 3, I like him. Again, he's not the highest ceiling guy, but there's something to be said for picking a guy who you know what he's going to be.
I think we differ a little bit on the athleticism, probably just watching different games. I have in my notes, attempting to do anything athletic leaves him on the ground. I saw, and this is a big guy, so this isn't something you expect. On a lot of reps where because he will attack tackles both ways, he'll go inside, he'll go to power, he'll go outside. But when he did try and go after that outside shoulder, which again you like to see, wound up on the ground a lot, trying to bend the hips around, and I mean, that kind of upsets the point of being a big rusher because now contain is broken. And something that you'll notice I really prioritize with edge rushers is upper body quickness. He does have a pretty refined set of moves. He has an arm over that should be really good because he's strong and he times it well. And it's just not quick enough. And tackles are able to run their feet and reset, and he stays attached. And then, like you mentioned, the really short arms. That makes everything harder at edge. It makes converting pass rush moves into wins, like the finesse stuff, harder, and then obviously majorly threatens the bull rush profile, which is how he won in college. An extremely savvy player, though, like you touched on, high motor, always getting the hands up to deflect passes. There's a lot to like with Jack Sawyer. I hate to do the helmet comp, but he's like exactly Sam Hubbard, I swear to God. The question is whether you're getting early career Sam Hubbard or late career Sam Hubbard, whether or not he is a 0 as a pass rusher, which I do think he can develop into an edge rusher who is good enough getting after the QB to be your number 2.
Yeah, and that's my hope with him. I believe that the pass rushing will come along. That's why somebody takes him in round 2. I won't bat an eye.
All right, so next up I have James Pearce. We'll talk about him later. I have Landon Jackson at 8.
All right, Landon Jackson at 8. I've got him at 9. I mean, he's a freak of nature. There's no other way to say it. I mean, like, 6'7", 280. Let me pull up his combine stats if you want to talk a little bit more about him.
He's 264. He was 264 at the combine. He may have played at 280.
He was listed at 280 at Arkansas. That's what I still have down. I haven't fully updated it for all these guys. But yeah, 6'6", 264. Still pretty damn good. 33.5-inch arms. 4'6", 840. 165, 10. 40.5-inch vert. 10.9 broad. It's just ridiculous. Now, does it show all on field? I mean, he shows absolutely enough athletic ability for a 6'7" or 6'6", 264 guy. Absolutely enough. I don't think it's quite Shemar Stewart like, who we'll get to.
I would agree.
But man, a guy that big should not be able to turn the corner that quickly. He should not be able to get off the line, threaten the outside. He should not be able to threaten the outside shoulder at all, but he does. And that's one of my favorite parts about his game, other than he's a really good run defender, though there are some issues there. But stuff I think will get cleaned up. Sometimes he's just a little late to diagnose the play. I think it'll come with time. You know what I mean? Sometimes he misses it. The arm tackling isn't the most proficient yet. But man, hitting that outside shoulder is not something you should be able to do. And if you can get a couple more moves, you can develop a counter, I think we've seriously got something here.
I think that from his combine testing, you really see the jumping numbers and you see the 10-yard split numbers, because his first step just takes up a ton of ground. And like you mentioned, you don't expect this traditional heavy-handed, or at least that's what you'd expect, type of 5-tech to be consistently working to the corner. I don't see the closing burst. I don't see the burst through corridors to actually get an arm around the quarterback and bring him down. Unsurprisingly, a high-waisted player, wipes out a lot trying to go to the bend. I remember seeing that at the Senior Bowl a lot. Like, one of my big takeaways on day one is, wow, Landon Jackson is on the ground all of the time. And this is another really high-motor player, so when there's an opportunity to get a paw on the ball carrier, he will throw himself on the ground. But obviously that's different from getting wiped out around the edge. The one thing that left me really disappointed with Landon Jackson, because there's, of course, a lot to like, I think his size-adjusted strength is, like, really markedly bad. Like, it's not egregious, but he basically does not have a bull rush. I was expecting a guy who could really consistently set the edge, and it kind of feels like he's straining at times. And going to his counters, you kind of touched on it earlier, where there's like bend through contact. There's the sort of strength you have when somebody is shoving on you and you have to stay engaged and you have to keep the core tight. And that's the kind of stuff that also puts Landon Jackson on the ground. He's always moving the arms. He tries a lot of stuff. He's got, like, the most literal swim move of all time. Like, I swear to God, he's, like, doing this with his arms constantly. And it's like, you should be winning more than you are. Because I already actually think he's a pretty technically sound player. And he just doesn't distance himself from his blocker very well. I don't know why I'd expect that to get better at the pro level. Obviously, there's still a few things you can clean up with technique. In theory, he could be a pretty solid pass rusher. I'm not going to project it. I will say it's in the tank. I think he's a 2 at the NFL level, a guy who obviously tries really hard on the field. Also, side note, probably the antsiest player in this class. Like, did you notice that when he's in his three-point stance, he almost rocks back and forth like a baseball player loading up their hips?
He's ready to go. But it kind of makes sense because when you're that big, you got to move a lot of stuff.
That's true.
Quickly. You see it with Shemar Stewart, too. You just got to go. You got to go. And he does.
Well, and even in his two-point stance, when he's standing up and he's kind of leaning down like a wide receiver, like, he's clenching the fist. The dude is ready to get after the QB, and you are rooting for this guy to succeed. He was fun to watch at the Combine, and he's going to be fun to watch in the pros as well.
Absolutely. Really, really quality. Yeah, work in progress in pass rush, no doubt about it. I think he can get to some sufficient stuff, but it's kind of the same story as Jack Sawyer, even though they're wildly different players. It's like good run defender for different reasons, decent pass rusher for different reasons. Sawyer, I don't think it'll get better. Jackson's probably worse right now, but he could get better at some point. I don't know. So Jackson was a sliver above Sawyer just because the athletic talent. Also, we talked about it before the episode. Maybe it stays in the episode. My comp for Jack Sawyer is a chair.
That's your chair? You didn't say who it was. You just said that you had a chair comp.
I did. Yeah, it's because I think I got to keep it in the video now.
Absolutely.
We started off the recording because some person left a bracket of random things in the recording room. So we started off doing that bracket, and a chair was on there. I was like, a chair is always reliable. Actually, I think a chair's like, you know what? Wait, I'll save that for the episode. Chair's like Jack Sawyer. He's always there. No matter what, always there. Everywhere you look, there's Jack Sawyer. There's the chair, and then there's Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer doesn't sit in the chair. He's coming at the quarterback, though. So he's there. He's reliable. He's not going to fall. He's not a flimsy chair either. He's a wooden chair. He's not a fancy wooden chair, though. You can get him for $5 at the flea market, but he's going to do the job for 15 years. Easy.
Make one edit to the episode and make sure that the people who are watching know that you reveal who the chair comp is, because that's going to keep people. That's the only edit you need to make.
Okay. I'll do like they do it on the Stock Exchange podcast, where they have
Cold
the little
open.
teaser at the beginning, yeah, and then they go into the intro. We need intro music, man. We need intro music.
We're going places, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so who do we get into next? Because I have Mike. It is Mike Green, isn't it? Mike Green at 7?
Yeah, I have Mike Green at 7, too.
I know that you like the tape on Mike Green a lot, so you started off.
Well, I have Swinson at 8, so let's go through Swinson first,
Sure.
and
Yep,
then we'll
go
do
ahead.
Mike Green. I think we should. Well, let's also just do James Pearce, because I have him at 6. So we'll just do James Pearce. Why don't you take a little bit of James Pearce, and then I'll take some Mike Green, because I know you're not a big James Pearce guy. So
I'm not a big James Pearce guy. There's a lot to like with him. His upper body twitch, which is big to me, is absolutely fantastic. His lower body twitch, as far as his ability to go boom, boom, boom on the rush track and be able to explode in either direction, is stellar. He's top 3 in the class in both categories easily. I think he's an instinctive pass rusher. So you can attack the outside shoulder, you can attack the inside shoulder, and then you can go down the middle for the bull rush. Then you also have the ability to counter inside out and outside in. I count 5 fundamental ways that you can win as a pass rusher. And a lot of these guys don't really have functional moves to all 5. James Pearce does. Plus, he adds on some really nice ghost moves. I saw a ghost bull rush, which he can kind of vary into a stab move. It's just all around very impressive. And he has a ghost chop he can use on the outside. And unlike, this is jumping way up the list, but Abdul Carter's ghost move I think is really bad and just wins because he's ridiculously athletic. Yeah. James Pearce wins with his ghost moves because he's a very instinctive pass rusher. And that is where the list of things that I like about him ends. There are 3 fundamental concerns that I have with him. The first one, well, actually, there are 2 ways that he wins in college, I would say. He wins with the speed rush, and he wins with speed to power. I think that both are threatened at the next level.
I agree.
He is high-waisted, and he is not bendy at all. I don't know if I saw a rep in the games that I watched where he was able to bend his ankles or his hips. Every rep that I saw, and bend is hard because it can be a sample size thing, was him just easily beating the tackle to the outside corner, and then he makes like a box cut, like a wide receiver, and it's like, well, you had the space to do that, but I don't see the ability to bend through contact, to dip, and to turn the corner. And he's got shorter arms. He's like, what is James Pearce Jr.?
That's what I was looking at. He's 32 and 3206.
And how heavy is he?
244?
Yep, he's one of the lighter edge rushers in this class. I've got him at, 245. And I don't think his strike points on his power moves are particularly good. So I don't know if you can consistently win either way at the next level. And then for anybody that's not aware, he has alleged off-field red flags, not legal red flags. Tennessee fans will be the first ones to tell you there's never been any issues that have come to the light like from the news. No run-ins with the law. I'm like, Abdul Carter has had run-ins with the law, so what's the double standard? Why is Abdul Carter so much higher up the list? So I like to do background checks on prospects and really read up on them and watch interviews and kind of find like the deepest stuff I can as far as what people close to them are saying about them. And what I will say is, while I do not have legitimate insider sources, I buy the coachability concerns.
Yeah.
Part of that is that he didn't get any better as far as like technical pass rushing in 2024. I thought he played harder and tougher and more mature on the field, but I kind of have a concern that that might be a get drafted and get your millions of dollars and then check back out thing. And then watching his interviews, do you know what this guy's favorite pass rush move is?
No.
It's winning with instinct. Do you know who his favorite pass rusher is?
Von Miller.
Himself.
Okay.
I don't want to judge a guy too heavily based on how he interacts with the media, but what I will say is he stops just short of saying, I do not watch film.
No.
And the reporters that I trust the most, a lot of the ones that aren't super popular, but I've noticed they have a good track record of being right on this insider sort of stuff, say it's even worse than I think it is. They essentially say he's literally uncoachable. Now, this is still a football player evaluation. If he was like a blue chip talent, I would have him in the top 5, in the top 10, but he has so much work to do that I just don't trust it. I think he's a pretty terrible run defender. He's athletic and could eventually be coached if he can get there and do a good chase and tackle guy from the backside. As a tackler, he's just diving at angles. Terrible career missed tackle rates. Has to really backpedal just to avoid getting pancaked on the ground. Counter just makes this guy look like an idiot. He goes after the quarterback on options, which is the best thing that you can say. He basically doesn't react to a ball. I don't think he has any redeeming qualities in run defense on day one. I'm not a big James Pearce Jr. guy. The potential's there, but I'm not going to be the one to bet on it. So that is my spiel.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the one place where we differ is I do think he has solid to good bend. But again, as you said, it's a sample size. Plus, I think there's 2 phases of bend, one of which he's very good at and one of which he's not good at. He's very good at turning the initial corner and getting low to a certain extent, but getting that first stop while keeping momentum. But then you have to follow through and you have to fully make the turn, and he rarely can do that. That's where some of the balance, I have a lot of balance issues with him. That was one of the first things I noticed, and it was just a continued balance issue. He just continues to kind of fall off through the middle of the bend. So that first bit earned quite a bit because there's not a lot of guys that can sharply hit a corner. Like you said, box receiver. Sometimes you do want your guy to do that, and he can kind of hit the round. He can round the tackle, but again, he can't follow through consistently. So that's really the issue I had. And with Pearce, again, like you said, he can win in a lot of ways, but that's just like he doesn't win in those ways a lot. He tries that stuff and it works, but it's not because he's technically sound at it. I mean, he is mediocre. His hands are very raw. His hand usage is not polished whatsoever. It sometimes looks like he's throwing himself at him. There are flashes, though. That's what gets me with Pearce sometimes, man. It's just pure player evaluation. There are flashes of hitting that cross chop around the edge, turning the corner, and finding the quarterback. There are flashes of a great inside move. There are flashes of a fantastic spin move. It's just you never see it put together for a full game, and it's disappointing. And another big issue I have with him as a pass rusher, and he is the worst prospect I have scouted in a long time at actually finishing the play and sacking the quarterback. And that's not something I say lightly. He's legitimately horrible at it. He just, once he gets around, he wins it. He just can't find the quarterback. There are so many missed sacks, so many missed opportunities, and as you said, he's just a pretty awful run defender. The one thing that really was a nice surprise for me was speed to power and overall bull rush technique. I think he does have really good bull rush technique as far as landing the hands square every time, and there's enough leg drive there to make it functional at the next level. But again, like you said, the arms are pretty small, so there's just so many questions with Pearce. Theoretically, the tools are there, but yeah, again, you were talking about the character issues. It's not a well-kept secret that James Pearce had some issues with with coaches. It's not a well-kept secret that James Pearce has. Like, a lot of people say he's not coachable, and I think at some point you got to listen to that. I will say I do want if I'm drafting a guy like James Pearce, I want his favorite edge rusher to be himself.
Fair enough.
Because no great has ever had. Oh, who's your favorite player? Oh yeah, it's Danielle Hunter. No, it's myself. What are you talking about? I watch me the most out of anybody. Yeah, well, if he doesn't watch himself the most out of anybody, there's the concern. But yeah, I want my favorite. I want my edge rusher to have his favorite player be himself. But you have to earn it first. You have to earn the right to. That's why I said Shedeur Sanders. Who's your favorite? Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward both said that they're their favorite quarterbacks. You haven't earned that yet. Neither you won shit in college. Neither you won shit. Listen, if Travis Hunter wants to come out here and say he's his favorite player, he's the Heisman. Of course he is.
He's my favorite player.
He's my favorite player in this class, too. He's my number one edge rusher. Spoiler alert. He can do everything.
What can he do?
Exactly. But yeah, Pearce, there is just too many questions on this evaluation. So he is a round 2, pure round 2. I could not have him round 2 through 3 because there is no world in which he should there's no world in which he should make it to the 3rd round.
I've got a 2 through 3 on him.
It's okay. I think I'm a little higher on him because I'm at 6. You have him at 9. I struggled 1 through 2, round 2. Originally I had 1 through 2, but then the character issues came out more, and it's like, okay, let's just dock it to 2. I didn't like him that much anyway.
So to retcon one thing I said, now that I think about it, I actually do agree with you that he consistently gets his hands inside on the bull rush. What I was thinking of is more on his long arm. A lot of the times I saw his arm get deflected away, and kind of land on the shoulder. But that's more of an upper body power and arm length issue. He can drive guys back when he lands both hands inside. Like you said, adequate lag drive. But then to add on to something you said about finishing the play, in 2024, and 2023 was a different story. I watched some 2023 tape and I saw a very similar player, so I'd be intrigued to know why the numbers are so much different. But in 2024, he converted 22% of his pressures into sacks and hits and 14% into sacks.
I'm not too familiar with that number.
Those are pretty awful
pretty
numbers.
bad.
I think an average sack conversion rate is right around 23%, so he's about 7% lower, which is huge. So actually Josaiah Stewart is a guy I ran the numbers on because his numbers popped and I was interested to know what they were. He converts 40% of his pressures into sacks and hits because he just blows by guys. He runs around the corner. So that's like what the sack conversion rate is, and the reason why there's some legitimacy in terms of sacks over just pure pressures is because turning them into sacks, that's bend, that's countering, that's tackling. There is some skill there, and for James Pearce, like you said, it really stands out in a bad way. The guy's a terrible play finisher.
I'd be interested in seeing a high-quality pressures metric be developed and then compare it, like high-quality pressures to sacks. So it's high-quality pressures that give you a chance to sack the quarterback.
That would be great.
I'm guessing James Pearce would be last in this class. It's that bad.
All right, so now Mike Green or Bradyn Swinson?
I will do Bradyn Swinson, then we'll talk about Mike Green because he's both of our 7, so that's the last guy up. Bradyn Swinson, I just watched him, like literally. I got out of class, I went over, I watched Bradyn Swinson for an hour, and then I came here. Yeah, I just watched him. It's very fresh, so I know it. Swinson is not what I thought he would be because I'd heard some people talk about him as of late. I'd heard some people say, okay, he's a rather polished edge rusher with good enough athletic tools. And I think that he is more than good enough. I'd say he is really good. I wouldn't say great. I think he has really good athletic tools. The get off is scary. It's his best tool by far. Not by far, but it is. Man, there's some times where just bam, he's off the line and nobody stands a chance. His bend is good enough. I'll say that his bend is good enough. His bend through contact is excellent. He's 6'5", 255, I want to say, with 33 inch.
Over 33 and 3/8.
33 and a half, basically.
He's actually 6'3" and a half, I guess, but same ballpark.
Yeah, so the size checks out. The athleticism is good enough. But and he's a very strange evaluation when it comes to his actual technique and how he gets to the passer because it works. And it does look polished sometimes. There are flashes of elite polish, but I'm going to say, I think he looks like just he's wild and out of control, but not like guys like Benito and Chop Robinson, and even Abdul Carter, we'll get to, have looked in past years. He looks like a controlled chaos. Like, it's chaos and what the hell's going on, but okay, you harnessed that and you made it work. So, I don't know. I've tried not to like it, honestly. I was like, surely this can't work, but I was like, I can't see any reason why it won't work. Because he's got a lot in the bag. He's got a swim. He's got a nasty cross chop. He turned the corner. It's very nice. His counter is nice. One of the big surprise of him is he is a truly elite. I saw it 3 or 4 times. I didn't see it anywhere else, but 3 or 4 times I saw the best bull rush in this class outside of Mykel Williams. Legitimately. Pocket deflator. I mean, it was insane. He gets the insane get off up the field in the first 2 steps. You take away the cushion, then you ram your hands into the tackle's shoulders, and you drive him towards the quarterback. And he knocked down the quarterback with the tackle's ass multiple times. That freakish. Didn't see it too many other times, but then again, he didn't try it too many other times. So this is a guy, as a pass rusher, He's just going to get after you. Also, another guy, just a truly elite motor. Never quits. It's just always running through guys. He got a lot of cleanup sacks that way. So I think he's a good athlete. I think he's a good pass rusher. There is plenty of stuff to work with, but this is his first year as a full-time starter. So he's a 23-year-old senior, but we talk about 23-year-old seniors. He's a fifth-year senior saying, well, that's a bad thing because they've had so many reps. You would think that they would have developed by now. He hasn't had that many reps. And this is his first year starting. He looks good. I think there's a lot of stuff to work on with his pass rush. I think you can start him as a pass rusher immediately. Probably a rotational pass rusher immediately. But there's enough there that if you can work on it, he could become really, really nice, like a real threat. Maybe even a number one pass rusher. And then in the run defense, I think he's a little worse than his size suggests. I think his anchor was only okay. I didn't see much ability to really bend the knees. I would have liked to see some of that drive force that we saw from the bull rush. I would like to see some of that come back with the anchor. He's inconsistent shedder for the most part. I liked his ability to diagnose the run. I liked his ability to find the counters and find the pullers. I didn't love it. There's a lot to work on. There's some stuff to work on there. A really bad quality he has is he dips the head pretty much every time he goes at the point of attack, and that causes him to lose the ball a lot. So that's why I knocked his overall diagnosis grade. But he's a sure tackler. He's a good enough linebacker you can drop into coverage as well. So there's a lot to like about Bradyn Swinson. He's just kind of... There's nothing I think he's super good at. I think he can get better at everything, and I think he will get better at everything. He's the type of guy to do that. So count me as a Bradyn Swinson believer. I just don't know how I have a round 2 through 3 grade on him. I don't know how high we can go with him when we haven't seen too much. We've only seen 1 year of production. I haven't seen too much great technique. I haven't seen that elite athleticism. I don't think he has a truly elite trait. But closest thing he has is his get off. But I want to take a guy like that. And I feel like there's just no way he doesn't work out. And why I have him higher than Jackson and Sawyer is that I think he has the potential to be a number one. The highest range, like I think he actually can be in a realistic range of outcomes. Number one is at the highest 5%. So that's my spiel. Sorry, it was so long. I just watched him.
So I just moved him above James Pearce Jr. on that board. I'll take your word for it.
All right.
That does sound like a really intriguing player, though, and I like bringing up the point about just because a guy has experience on tape doesn't mean that he can't get better. I think it's important to separate where a player is from a physical maturity perspective, because if a guy's 20, 21 years old, you can project them to fill out their frame more and add meaningful play strength. Maybe not so much with a 23-year-old. However, if they haven't had the reps, they're still going to get better with the reps. So, important distinction to draw on a player I'm really excited to watch. He is one of the 4 players remaining that I had underlined, guys I want to get to before I move on to watching kind of like a bulk list of guys for a different position. The others are Jordan Birch and Kyle Kennard. I did not get to them today. I was watching Tui Malolo, but it's going to be exciting to check out Bradyn Swinson's tape. Absolutely. And now, time for the Mike Green conversation, right?
Yeah, I mean, Mike Green, man, I got to say, before I watched him not knowing anything about his background or anything, I hadn't heard anything about him. I'd heard he was like a round 1 through 2 prospect. That was about it. And I watched him. I had a top 10 grade on him. He was my number 1 edge rusher in the class. And then we hear a lot of bad stuff about him. And it's like, okay, let's take it with a grain of salt. But then it just keeps coming, and more reliable sources are saying teams have real concerns about this. And I have the top 7 guys. There's a tier break from Mike Green to Bradyn Swinson, so I just threw him at the end of that tier. If you have round 1 or round 1 through 2 or top 10, top 5 grades, I put him at the very last of those grades because he's a round 1 through 2 grade for me. I just can't put him above any of those other guys. He's a fantastic player, but if the character concerns are true, you can't draft him. So it's a super weird evaluation. Before we get to the actual player, which is a fantastic player, do you have anything to say about that?
So I actually think we disagree on Mike Green fundamentally, because I feel awful saying this. From a football evaluation perspective, I actually didn't knock him down my board all that much for the allegations.
That's a perfectly fair thing. A lot of teams don't even knock him at all.
I want to distinguish the fact that evaluating a football player is much different than evaluating a person. And my football,
prospect.
Fair enough.
A prospect merges both of them together. I don't do like football. I have traits grades, and he is my number one edge rusher in traits grades. So that to just be said, I'm there with you. As a football player, number one football edge rusher in the class. Doesn't knock my grade on him at all. Prospect, though, you have to take that into consideration because that will affect their career outcome.
My thought process goes, these are things that, if they happened, which I'm going to be fully honest, I think that they did. The sources are fairly reliable. I think that the evidence is not beyond a reasonable doubt, but clear enough that I think there's a greater than not chance that he did really bad things. However, it's not going to affect his on-field availability. He's not going to jail for them.
That's true.
From what I've heard, I just don't think it can. There's not going to be enough evidence.
But that's the thing with these kinds of things. It's always like, first of all, if I'm an organization, like I don't want that in my locker room. You know what I mean?
don't either. I don't either.
I know you don't. Nobody wants that in their locker room except for the Cleveland Browns, apparently, who willingly signed on.
Easy selection.
So then it's like, there's a reason the Browns acquired Deshaun Watson because they thought he could be a franchise changer, and ultimately they're like, well, morals don't make us money, and we have the luxury of, not being owners and not having money attached to the stake, which I don't feel bad for NFL owners in the slightest, to be clear, but I'm just saying that would affect their decision making. So it's not you can understand why they would bring that person in. But my thing is like, you've seen this person's character, that may not bring him any availability issues, but if he did that once, he's capable of doing things like that or that again, and
could
that
happen more.
Could seriously. We saw it with Jermaine Burton coming out. I docked him heavily for him as a prospect grade, and people were like, well, he's a great football player, so I'm going to keep him up there. Bengals drafted him the 4th round. I don't think he's playing another snap in the league now because of some more off the field issues. So we see it all the time where guys just don't play again because there are off the field issues that teams ignored. They said, well, they're not going to affect his availability now, but then they do it again later. And it's like, that affects it. So from a pure football evaluation, that does affect the availability score because it's like being injury prone, which is a really weird comparison. It's like, it could happen again.
We agree on that point. I think the reason that we docked him slightly differently in terms of the amount is because Jermaine Burton was acting like a psycho all the way up until the point he got drafted. And Mike Green, it could happen again, but he's been able to keep his act clean for multiple seasons. Maybe he gets his money and starts doing really bad shit again if he did it in the first place. That's absolutely a possibility, and that's why I think for me, he probably went from a round 1 to 2 to a true second round grade. I want you to lead off on the tape because I think that you like it a lot more than I do.
I do. And I like it a lot more than most people do. Because I'm not going to sit here and pretend. Actually, I am going to sit here and pretend like he's a great run defender because he is a great run defender. Let's start out with that. He's the best. He is the highest. Actually, I do my grades by letter grades. And I give it the A-, B-, B+, B, straight, like all that. So the second highest diagnosis grade, I give a diagnosis grade. How well are you at diagnosing the run? Second highest one I gave was a B+. I gave it to a player who will be named later. The highest was A with Mike Green. He's 2 grades higher than anybody else. He reads the field. He reads the run better than anybody in this class by a wide margin. He knows what's coming every single time. He is fantastic at getting out of the way of pullers. When you talk about penetration off the line, off the snap, that is his game. He is a small guy. There is no sugarcoating it. He's a small guy, so his anchor suffers for that. His ability to shed suffers for that. I still don't think it's bad. I think his ability to anchor, he has impressive knee bend, which really helps him get low to the ground. He's got that natural leverage, and he does have kind of long arms for his size, so he can get down there and he can survive against smaller tackles. He can shed. He can get free of a lot of guys. Great tackler as well, but that diagnoser, his ability to see the field in read options, in complicated trick plays, he's never fooled. He's a great run defender. He's also by far my grades I do individual grades for overall grades and athletic score, pass rush score, and run defense score. The second highest pass rush score is 7.84, which is a guy who will be named later. The best pass rush score is Mike Green at 8.79.
Oh my God.
He is a full point higher than anybody else. There's nothing he can't do, man. He's got elite bend, elite get off. He's second and only to Abdul Carter in both of those categories. You can make an argument Pearce can challenge him for the get off. As far as finesse moves, he can do legitimately any move you can imagine. He's tried it all. He's thrown everything at the ball, and it's mostly worked because he is legitimately incredible technique with his hands. He knows where to put him. He knows how to react to the tackle. He knows what the tackle wants to do to him. And then his bull rush is also pretty damn good. Like, it's better than quite a few guys in the top 10. I don't know, man. And yeah, he's just a freak athlete as well. Elite agility, elite speed, elite acceleration. He's pretty strong too. There are no holes. He's not a top 5 grade for me because he's pretty small, and that's the one weakness. So there you go. That's the Mike Green football evaluation. He's an awesome player, and it sucks. He sucks as a human being, allegedly.
We strongly disagree on the tape.
That's fair.
I agree with you with the run diagnostics. He is consistently ahead of the curve, and he plays hard as well. Like you said, he has that excellent balance of knifing into the backfield and dodging pullers to make plays, but also just throwing himself into the tackle and being violent at all times and just being aggressive with his hands to throw guys off of him and use that excellent pound-for-pound strength to his advantage. I think the most legitimate criticism on him definitely in run defense is he is just smaller. Pound for pound strength, weight room strength can only get you so far. And when you're competing with a 310-pound tackle on a drive block, you're going to have to give some ground or get pancaked. You can be a good run defender despite that. Maybe it has a little bit of an adjustment period in the NFL. That's actually not the biggest issue that I have with his game. We really disagree on his technique. I saw a lower half and an upper half that were badly out of sync. I basically saw himself throwing himself at tackles over and over again, and he does throw a lot of shit at the wall. I completely agree with that. Extremely urgent into counters, good swim move, good spin move. Didn't see like a push-pull, but he has a swipe move as well. He is aggressive with the hands. I saw him get like RKO'd by offensive linemen quite a few times, where because he is just a lighter body, when he's jumping up into the air and trying wild cross chops to the inside and then back to the outside, he just gets dropped a lot. I like the bend. I did not love the bend. I thought that he's pretty clearly outclassed by Abdul Carter, and maybe you feel the same way because Abdul Carter is
he is clearly outclassed by Abdul Carter. That's the thing.
Abdul Carter outclasses borderline everybody who's ever played football.
That's the thing. Like, he is outclassed by Abdul Carter. It's just he outclasses pretty much everybody else in this class when it comes to bend. Well, yeah, no, I mean,
this isn't the bendiest class. No, I don't disagree.
This isn't. There's nobody I have close. I mean, there's one guy, but no.
I think there's one guy that I love the way you talk about bend in terms of it having two phases. There are definitely guys who I think dip underneath better than he does and are just smoother, and maybe that's because they're longer as well, so they can use their arms to help clear themselves. He does have 32-inch arms, by the way. And the problem is I saw that on tape because sometimes his timing was really good. I saw flashes of it. I don't want to tear him down as a pass rusher, but he would go to a perfect move, and it's like, oh, he's about to beat this tackle. And it's, oh, tackle's right back in front of him. How did that happen? He did everything right there. And then you get into the fact that he's playing for Marshall. It's a very low level of competition. The best game, or like the best team he went up against this year was Ohio State. I didn't watch that game.
You should have watched that game.
He had 2 pressures, and he didn't have an outstanding grade. Was he really good in that one? And PFF just kind of got it wrong?
Yeah, he didn't rush the passer much because Ohio State ran the ball like 50 times.
Okay, that's important to know.
The 2 pressures were the 2 most impressive pressures on his tape.
Okay, because I did watch the highlight reel afterwards to make sure I was seeing his high-end stuff, and I was maybe dissuaded by the fact...
that was his best run defense game, in my opinion.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Because you got to project that against high-end competition, and obviously he was great at the Senior Bowl as well. I saw him running around the outside of a lot of very unathletic tackles, and his bull rush is really good against group of 5 defenders. I just have not seen it against power 5 defenders. Maybe if I watch that Ohio State game, maybe I bump up his tape grade. I think he can be a really good starter at the NFL level. I think he's always going to have limitations due to the size and the length fundamentally, but I do think this is a guy with number 1 upside. And just a lot of things we don't know due to the level of competition and obviously due to the off-field stuff as well. And it's interesting that a player that I think we're going to disagree on about as much as we disagree with anyone on this list, we both wound up at number 7 for him. I have a true second, you have a first to a second, but it's still funny.
That is actually kind of crazy. That's ball knowers eventually end up in the same spot no matter what. It's just how it works.
Actually, now that I think about it, we are going to have a player that we're radically different on. But you did say you like him.
Are we?
Time to go 6'5'4"?
I told you that I left a guy out, right? That he's in your top 6? Who did I tell you I left out? For reference, no.
Well, are we about to find out? Because we just talked about our 7.
I guess so, yeah. Mike Green, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just see different things with guys. That's the beautiful thing about the scouting process. Everybody sees something different. So where I see a guy with polished technique, you see a guy that could improve quite a bit. But we still end up with the same grade because we're BallsTalkSports and we're ball knowers. So yeah, let's go to 6'5'4", right? 6'5'4", then 3, 2, 1?
Yep.
All right. Who you want to start?
I've got Donovan Ezeiruaku from Boston College at 6, Nic Scourton from Texas A&M at 5, and Jalon Walker from Georgia at 4.
All right, as I said, I got James Pearce at 6, Donovan Ezeiruaku at 5, and Jalon Walker at 4.
All right, so we'll touch on Donovan Ezeiruaku first.
Yeah. So I can do Walker. You want to do Ezeiruaku, like as an intro? All right.
Donovan Ezeiruaku plays football in a really weird, unique way.
Oh, yeah.
Because I watched him right after I watched Jack Sawyer. And for the first few snaps, I said, oh, wow, this is like actually a very similar player because they both move slow.
Yeah.
And then I noticed the big difference, which is it felt like Jack Sawyer was forced to play slow. It just kind of felt like he was heavy watching him. Donovan Ezeiruaku is like stalking his prey and picking the right moment to trigger. He's got long arms, which is weird because he's 6'2" and a half. And out of all the guys to have 34-inch arms in this class, there are legitimately like 5 guys in this entire goddamn edge class that have 34-plus inch arms. Donovan Ezeiruaku is one of them. And you see it on tape, literally and figuratively. Like, yeah. I just saw this guy standing with his arms at his side at one point, and I was like, holy hell, they're like down to his knees.
Tree trunks.
But the way he uses them, the best way I can describe it, because this is the guy who competes with Mike Green in terms of bend for me.
Yeah.
He just slithers around the corner. It's weird to watch, and he ropes in the quarterback with those long arms. And then as a run defender, you were talking about how Mike Green had the best diagnostic grade. I saw Ezeiruaku call out the run play before it had even happened more than I have ever seen. And there were a couple of moments of realization for me. One was that I was watching him. He was unblocked on the backside, and he was flowing with, I think it was a reverse. It was like a tap pass to a wide receiver. And I'm trying to find him because it becomes a reverse. Wide receiver swings around the opposite way. They toss it back to him, and I'm looking for Ezeiruaku, and I think I see him, and I'm like, wow, he ended up way out of position. And then I hit the play button again, and I see this dude make this, snare a guy with the long-ass arms and bring him to the ground. He's an outstanding tackler, by the way, both on tape and statistically. Yeah. And it's like, he saw that wide receiver coming around on the reverse before anybody else on the team did and just went out there and made the play in space. And then I think this other play, it was against a really fast running back. I want to say it was either Dylan Sampson or Bashul Tootin.
It was Tootin, I think.
It was Tootin.
Yeah.
And I had motor as a negative for Ezeiruaku initially. Okay. Because I didn't see him pursuing run plays very hard.
I know what play you're talking about, actually.
And then all of a sudden, Bashul Tootin is about to break away, and when he gets a runway, he is gone. And Ezeiruaku slams on the gas and makes the tackle, flipping the hips as the last line of defense. And then later on in that game, he made a very similar play. He just knows, forced a fumble. And that's what he does as well. He's like 7 over the last 3 years, and he's only been a full-time starter for 2 of those.
Oof.
Gets a paw on the ball and strips it away from the quarterback as well as the ball carrier. I think he is extremely smart. Clearly a guy who spent a ton of time in the film room. I think he's strong enough to play the run. I don't think it's exceptional. He uses his arms to his advantage. He's very good at, I think, kind of getting low and using that long arm technique to get up into the... What is this part of the jersey called?
I
the back
have
is
no
the
idea.
horse collar. I think that's just the collar.
Yeah.
To get up into the collar or the face mask and win the leverage battle. He's never going to be a guy who 2 gaps on the edge and can kind of force the tackle inside and then break out once the running back reacts and make the play. He's not that strong. I think it can be adequate. I think he can be a very quality starter at the next level and an easy guy to root for.
I thought he was like weirdly good at setting an edge.
He's very talented at it, I think. He's just a very sound football player. He's coordinated with his hands, clearly very coachable.
Yeah, the only reason I said I brought his diagnoser down to B+ is just there were a couple times I think he didn't see the polar coming. There were a couple times I think when he did have to make a decision, he guessed wrong, and it's like, yeah, it's just gonna happen. But I'm gonna dock you for it just
Fair
a little
enough.
bit. Like I just have to. But yeah, Ezeiruaku, he's a great player, man. As you said, super bendy. And I like what you say about stalking the prey because at first you think, I thought he was going to be a better athlete, 6'2", 248, and he's not a great athlete. What are we doing here? And then as the game goes on, you're just like, okay, he can kick it into high gear when he wants to. When this guy gets in the open field, it is a thing to watch. It is like a cheetah hawking a gazelle. It is beautiful. And man, talk about 2 phases of bend. He's got both. Hit that initial stop, turn the corner, and then finish the turn and find the quarterback. He is elite at finding the quarterback. The sack numbers show it. 14 sacks, 18% pressure rate last year. And man, he was productive at Boston College this past year. And you want to talk about run defender. He had a 10% run stop rate. That is really damn good. That is really freaking good for a sub 250 guy. He's a sub 250 guy, but he's got 34-inch arms. The one thing that that did leave to be desired, I think he is a great athlete. I wouldn't say he's elite. I wouldn't say he's Carter or anything. He's twitchy. He's got the jumps. I think he can eat cushion early with some really nice get off when he wants to. The one thing is, if he can, I have it written down. If he can figure out a way to turn that athleticism, that speed into a bull rush that works, he will be a number 1 edge. He will be. And I have no doubt about that. But if he can't, we're probably looking at a number 2. So that'll be the thing that really defines how many all-pro teams he makes, how many Pro Bowls he makes. Is just, can you develop a functional bull rush move? Because at this point, I think it's functional at the college level. I don't think it'll be functional at the NFL level. So I think there were a couple of times we saw true pocket collapsing where you sprint up, bam, you run into him, make him look silly. I just need to see it. I need to see it. If we can see that at the next level, I think Ezeiruaku is going to be a great player. He's going to be a great player no matter what. He's got the computer up in the head, man. It's just running so quickly. He does not get fooled by anything. Such an impressive player. And what makes his anchor stand out to me was just he's got really good knee bend. Just get down low to the ground. That's what the small guys need to do. So really great. And also another thing that I talk about sometimes, I like to talk about with edges, he can drop back into coverage. You see it. He can. So he's a fun player. He's a guy you know is going to work out and a guy who really does have quite a good ceiling. So round 1 through 2 talent for me just because he is smaller, just because there are some questions with the power, but just a really nice player. A guy that you just walk away. You're like, yeah, that's a football player right there.
So some of these guys I have full finished scouting reports on. Others, like Mike Green, for example, so I still have room to analyze his technique more and potentially see it through a different light. They're still in their preliminary phases. I haven't done a full scouting report on Ezeiruaku, but it's just hilarious, actually, how similarly we see him. Like, for example, I just have a list of strengths and weaknesses and a couple notes on their usage on these guys. Effective horizontal and vertical leverage control helps him hold the edge.
Yep.
And then for most of these players, I have like 6, 7, 8 weaknesses. For Ezeiruaku, I came away with 3. And they're the exact ones that we've touched on. overall lack of twitch means his technique has to be perfect. I don't see it in the upper body.
That's fair.
He falls in this category of guys where it's like, God damn, you do a lot of things right. I think his footwork on the runway is outstanding. I wrote, reminds me of a receiver's release package. And just not only not revealing your intentions, but using subtle movements to bait tackles in the wrong way, hitting the 1, 2, 3 steps, and then going to the arm over and just making life hell on your blocker. That's really good. He should have been even more dominant than he was, and I think that that's a tough projection at the next level. Offensive tackles settle into his bull rush and can clinch him up due to unexceptional strength. That was kind of the big thing for me. And then slow pace of play limits overall disruption capacity. It's those two things. I think he's fast. I don't think he's twitchy. And I don't think he's going to be a bull rusher at the next level, which is why he's my edge 6. And your edge what?
Edge 6. Well, 5.
Okay, wow. Yeah, these are really similar.
Yeah.
Excellent football player.
Yeah, he's a great football player. I have 5 just because I kind of repeat. Yeah, he's small. He will get washed. One thing I noticed, he gets washed by bigger, stronger tackles if he gets close quarters. But he has 34-inch arms, so he doesn't have to get close quarters, and he knows how to use him. So it's like, if you have a weakness like this, but you know how to avoid it, that is something that will translate. And Ezeiruaku, one thing I saw a mistake happen. It doesn't happen again. It doesn't. So, yeah, he's a really smart player, and these guys always succeed in the league. So, a guy that you feel great about betting on. There's no way he makes it out of the first round, too. Like,
I disagree.
From the mocks, like, people are having him go in the teens right now. Like,
I've seen some of that.
Daniel Jeremiah, I think, had him in the teens.
Man, there's so many good edge rushers, though.
That's the thing, though. It's like there are a lot of good edge rushers, but he's also a really good edge rusher. So there will be 7 edge. If I had to take my shot right now, I think there's 7 edge rushers. I think Scourton slips out of the first.
That's fair enough.
Maybe he gets taken, though, because I think 7 edge rushers go in the top 20. Honest to God. I think the Buccaneers take an edge rusher, and that'll be the 7th one.
Is Jihad Campbell an edge rusher?
No, he's not. I don't get it. I actually had that down to ask you about who was your 10?
My number 10 was Josaiah Stewart.
Stewart, do you think he's a Sam, or can he be a Sam? 4-3 Sam.
I mean, maybe more of a Jack type.
Yeah.
Like, I see the Sam as the true thumping outside linebacker. Like, they're the guy you bring in to stuff the run.
Well, that's the thing. He is that for a linebacker, though. Well, maybe he isn't, though.
I don't think he is. I don't think he plays with... I mean, he's 6'1" with a tiny wingspan for a linebacker. He can kind of get bullied off the ball in close quarters. He's just very good at being, like... I don't want to say a sledgehammer, because a sledgehammer is big, but, like, being a normal hammer and just piercing through the plywood that is offensive lines when you're able to dictate contact. If the contact comes to him, I don't think so much. However, as a coverage dropper, oh my God, the dude is ferocious. He just mauls guys, and it's all within 5 yards, so it's all legal.
All legal.
I saw him, like, not give a guy a bear hug, but do as close as you can without holding him. It's like he's roughing him up, and I swear getting some jersey, but there's nothing you could call. And then he moves off of him, and he finds, like, the other crosser on the mesh concept, and he's, like, hammering on that guy. And then they throw to the guy sitting in the middle of the mesh, and he's on it immediately because he's got zone instinct somehow. And somebody else gets to that tight end first and drops him, and he, like, smashes over top of him like you see linebackers get flagged for when they hit sliding quarterbacks. And it's like, holy hell, dude was in coverage and tried to kill 3 people.
Dude,
I love it.
Brian Flores is going to take him and fucking kill everybody. Just tell him, if it's mesh, which of course you'll know because you're a genius, if it's because I'm going to teach you how to recognize mesh, that's the only thing you got to do for this team.
He already knows how.
That's the only thing you got to do for this team. You see it's mesh, you tell me, I sub you in on the field, you go out there, you kill both of the guys running the crossing bats, then you go lurk, and you lurk the hitch.
It's the Madden lurk animation where he makes the over-the-shoulder, head-turned interception.
Yeah, they're finally going to have an excuse to have that animation in the game because Josaiah Stewart's going to pull it off.
Well, they already got Andrew Van Ginkel.
That's true.
Who's literally that player.
Why can't you have Andrew Van Ginkel times 2?
That's true.
Andrew Van Ginkel needs to rest sometimes. Josaiah Stewart.
Van Ginkel, but a better pure pass rusher.
Exactly.
There we go. There's the comp. All right, so I have Scourton at 5. Do we both have Jalon Walker at 4?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Who do we talk about first?
Why don't you take away with Scourton because you have him high? I didn't get too much of him. So like I watched him while I watched Shemar Stewart, and that was the first time I ever tried to watch two players at the same time. So maybe it's
Gotcha.
not. I'll probably revisit him at some point. So I won't give too much of an opinion. I want to hear what you think.
I have no idea what the hell I'm supposed to think of Nic Scourton. Dude is an absolute
maybe I'm
enigma.
not alone.
Like, on tape, he is enormous. He just immediately sticks out because he looks like maybe not a 2-eye, like a really athletic 2-eye playing edge rusher.
The thing is, you wouldn't know that if you only watched Texas A&M's defensive line because all of them have the same build. They're all built like a 2-eye. They're all like 6'6", 290.
We'll get to Shemar Stewart in a minute.
Yes, we will.
Oh my God, not Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams is also an insane
Also a
size-adjusted athlete. Nic Scourton, I think, was on Feldman's freaks list.
Yeah.
If he wasn't, he should have been. And people don't talk about him that way. When I hear discourse about Nic Scourton, it's always in the same way that we talk about like Jack Sawyer or JT Tuimoloau. He's the big 5 tech who's not particularly quick, and they play the run and they tackle and they're power rushers. And I flick on the tape and it's like, holy hell, a guy that big is not supposed to move that well. And like I said, we'll get to Mykel Williams. We'll also get to Shemar Stewart. I think Shemar Stewart and Nic Scourton are in the same tier. Stewart, I think, is twitchier. He plays kind of a little lighter. But Nic Scourton, when he's like, his first step is all the way into the backfield. I swear to God.
It's insane.
That's the biggest thing that I noticed. And he has that, he can still plant and then Euro step to the other side of the tackle. He has that ability to redirect even once he started up. And a lot of these big players that have really good first steps, yeah, you gain a lot of ground, but you only have one track. And that's just not the case with Scourton. And because he's so athletic, this guy who played at like 285 pounds, speed rushes like 80% of the time. He kept trying to win to the outside shoulder, is what I saw from him. And he's not a miracle maker. He's not this hyper bendy guy. And I think his inside counters are a little stiff. And I didn't see him consistently converting that outside rush into wins. That being said, when he did go to the bull rush, I thought it was very good. He's just a huge overall player, so his arm over is very effective. And his spin move. A guy playing at 285 should not be able to spin the way he does. I think he might have the best spin move in this class overall. He finishes it with an ice pick as well. It's not perfect.
I love the call out. The ice pick.
He doesn't gain as much ground as I would like to see, which the ice pick can do you a lot of favors because it does kind of inherently clear you from the tackle. It has room for improvement.
There's a reason it's standardized among spin move coaches who are teaching the spin move. They're going to tell you fake the outside, then you spin, then you jam the ice pick and the tackle's back. Everybody's going to tell you that.
If his footwork can get a little bit better, it can be, I think, one of the most dominant spin moves in NFL history. And I don't say that lightly. I think he has a very good ceiling as a pass rusher. He just has a lot of coaching up to do. And I don't think he wins the way that a lot of people think he wins. As a run defender, it's pretty much the same story. I think he plays roughly like he's, 290, 285. I wasn't overly impressed by his size-adjusted strength. I think he's strong. It's like he better be strong. However, I actually didn't see very good diagnostics. I didn't see very good leverage discipline, personally, and I didn't see a player who was as impactful as I was expecting. Well, all this to say, okay, he's a weird player. And then he shows up to the combine at 257.
Which is good.
But it's like, okay, I saw his power profile at 285. He weighs 20 less pounds. Is he going to have, the worst size-adjusted power I've ever seen, and that's not going to be a factor for him, and he's going to be bad holding the edge? But at the same time, imagine you kick his twitch and his explosion up a notch. This guy has an elite ceiling, and I just don't know what to make of him. The reason I was willing to bet on him, this was his first year at A&M. At Purdue, he was really good. He had legit number one overall pick buzz. He was a lot of people's number one edge heading into the year. He is a third-year junior. He's not even going to be 21 on draft night. He's not even particularly close. He's 20 in 6 months. He's going to be one of the youngest players in the class. Still growing into his body type, still figuring out what he is. I haven't heard any bad reports of the football character. I think this is a player that you can coach up And you can get one of the top guys in this class, like a Shemar Stewart or a Mykel Williams, at a bargain bin sort of price. And that's why I like Nic Scourton so much.
That's fair. And he was the guy I was thinking maybe he sneaks in at the end of the first round at 8. I just think you got to have such a specific plan with what you want to do with him. And that was what was my real hang-up with him. It was like, what's going on with the...
So we're still recording audio, so that's fine. Do you want to enable dictation? Oh, I love dictating contact. Great trait. To start dictating, let's do it. Press the control key twice or choose... What the hell is dictation, Victor?
I think it's like where it's transcription, maybe?
Oh, do we want this transcribed?
I don't think we do want it.
Don't ask again. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
By the way, don't ask again. Fuck you is literally one of the options. So.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Well, I'm glad that they know their customer base.
Its feeling is hurt.
But Nic Scourton, he was just like, I just didn't really understand him. I didn't understand what his role was going to be at the next level, because it's like, I heard at Purdue he played about 20 pounds under, which is I want to go back and I want to see his Purdue tape if I can. So it's like maybe that's where he's going to look like. But man, I heard that he wasn't. There was a lot of issues with his Purdue tape, which makes sense because he was a sophomore, but still. And then at Texas A&M, I think we see him relatively similarly. He was a good athlete. I just felt like he was a mix between Ezeiruaku and Sawyer, between the fact like he looked like sometimes he just could not carry that weight around. So that's why I was like, I can't have you play at that weight at the NFL. So then you weigh in 25 pounds lighter at the combine, and then we're like, well, I was already not impressed with your power profile for a bigger guy who has athletic ability to get upfield and really just ram into it.
He should have the best bull rush in the class, and it's not even top 5.
Number 3. Two guys we'll get to in a minute.
Fair enough.
Well, I don't know. He should be up there, but he just wasn't. And now is that going to be gone? And then if so, well, then he's got to be a finesse rusher, and nothing on his tape shows me he can be a finesse rusher except for his athleticism. I think I told you about this. My big complaint with him is I just felt like he was just throwing himself to tackle every time. And sometimes it was the speed moves where he just kind of throw himself around the edge, and sometimes it would work because he's a good athlete and he's big and they're afraid of him. They're afraid of him. But that's not replicable. And then when I saw him try to use his hands, which was not as often as I'd like to see, it often was very raw. I don't want to say raw. I think it was green. I think there's a difference between raw and green. Green is a guy who just hasn't had much practice doing it. You can see the signs, but it's like you got to get more reps.
I agree.
Raw is this guy can't do it. This guy is very bad at it right now. Maybe he can do it in the future, but we're not seeing much right now. So his hand usage was very raw. I think he was kind of disconnected between his upper body and his lower body. In run defense, I think he missed guys running by him a lot. I think his anchor was really good. I think there was some stuff that I think his knee bend was fantastic. But there were a couple times where I was like, I want to see you do better. I do have his run defense as a plus, though. He's got a great motor. He's going to keep fighting. Love to see that. And he did try counters at least. So maybe that counter looks a lot better whenever he plays at shorter weight. But the thing that was, I never saw him put 2 moves together. I don't think, maybe once.
He's really stiff.
Yeah, he's rather stiff, which hurts with the speed moves. But again, maybe that'll improve when he's at a lower weight. He's also just got shorter arms. I don't remember what he came in at.
33.
33.
And he plays shorter.
33 is not as bad as I thought.
Not fantastic. On my
but
combine sheet, it is dead white, like for the most average that you can be, but he plays shorter than 33. He is terrible at getting them inside.
Yeah, he can't, in the bull rush, he suffers from that. If you could just extend and hit him, that would be great, but you're kind of getting tied up here, which again comes back to the throwing yourself at things. He gets tied up a lot, and then you would like to see another move string together. There's just a lot there. He is a very raw or green, whatever you want to call it. He is a work in progress in every facet of the game, but he's a guy I want in my locker room. He's got a great motor. I think there's a lot of great upside there. It's just I've never been the guy that loves to draft this guy. The high upside, but we haven't seen much of it yet. If I've seen some of it and there's a lot of upside, we'll get to a couple of those guys in a minute. They end up very high on my board, but I just did not see any of it. Any of what I needed to see. And with these questions about weight, where is he going to play? What is he going to look like? There's just too many questions. I have him round 2 through 3. Still a quality player. I don't think that if I was doing a mock draft, I don't think he would fall out of round 2. But yeah, that's my Nic Scourton spiel. And again, I watched him, and I did, but it was like maybe it wasn't the best watch of all time. So if you're listening to this, I'd value Elson's opinion on mine more than mine.
And I also have work to do to narrow it down. I need to see more of his Purdue tape because, like you said, if he played at a substantially lower weight, you need to have at least some framework for what you're getting. Unlike a lot of guys where I need to watch more tape, though, I feel like I can say pretty confidently that his technique is really rough.
Yeah.
Because the guy played at like 285 and should run like a 4.75, and he wasn't even good enough with his hands to be like disruptive on stunts. Like, he would crash into the line and go backward. There was one play where I think it was him and Shemar Stewart just collided on the stunt. They were both looping around. It's like they hit each other and both kind of looked at each other and threw their hands up, and it was hilarious. But he was very disappointingly disruptive, just a really high ceiling and a high range of outcomes. I have a 1 to a 2 on him, and that's a 1 where the 1 is if you have a really good plan and you have a lot of background knowledge on what you're getting, maybe more than we as non-insiders do.
Yeah. Non-insiders.
Non-insider. What are we talking about? We're insiders.
Exactly. We're going to be at the Senior Bowl next year, guys.
Can't wait.
Trust me. I'm in contact with the new Senior Bowl guy, obviously.
Oh, I love that guy.
I love that guy. I mean, he loves us, too. I mean, we talk about him all the time. He talks about us all the time. He called me out yesterday. He was like, yo, are you going to the Senior Bowl? I was like, I don't know. Shrine Bowl's giving us a good offer because, we love the Shrine Bowl here at BallsTalkSports.
Hula? Paying out big cash?
The Hula Bowl would be fucking awesome. We're going to break in the middle of next year's spring semester to go to the Hula Bowl.
Can't wait.
Live
it's going to be a great time.
By
the senior year? Nothing important happens senior year, right?
No. What? People go to like Spain in senior year. We can go to...
Would you rather go to Spain or Hawaii?
No, I'd rather go to Mobile, Alabama. It's talking about study abroad. I want to study Mobile, Alabama. I want to study the Senior Bowl. I want to eat some Reese's and talk to Arch Manning about the correct torque to throw with, or the correct degree of angle that he wants to release with, and why he's releasing at a negative 20-degree angle.
Oh, where did you guys study abroad? Mobile, Alabama.
Absolutely.
Also, is the Hula Bowl in Hawaii? Where's it at?
Surely it's in Hawaii. There's no way.
It doesn't feel like it. Like, do they fly everybody out there?
They've got it right.
Like all these random ass G5 prospects that probably like don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, it's in Hawaii.
Huh. I wonder if they pay for the plane ticket.
It was held in Hawaii until 2022.
Let me guess, it's in Florida.
Yes, Orlando. Good for you.
Are you sure you didn't look up the Pro Bowl?
Maybe. Hold on. Yeah, no. From inception through 2021, it was held in Hawaii. Then they moved it to Orlando for some reason.
Hawaii was on fire.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So it was like, yeah, I guess there's too much money to fly him out to Hawaii. So Orlando's the next best thing. All right.
Makes sense.
I don't think we're going to be going to the Hula Bowl.
Is it Jalon Walker time? No, I don't want to go to Florida either.
It's Jalon Walker time. And man, you want to have him higher because the football player is really great. But again, it's some of those size issues. He's even more of a size outlier than Donovan Ezeiruaku because he is slightly shorter.
6'1",
half an inch.
243.
Yeah.
Ezeiruaku. Yep. An inch and a half shorter than Ezeiruaku with 2-inch shorter arms. Ezeiruaku I've got at 6'2.5". Maybe that's incorrect.
I thought Walker was 6'1.5".
I've got him listed at 6'1".
No, then he's probably 6'1".
He is short, and he does not look like an edge rusher. Dude looks light and athletic.
He's short. He doesn't look like an edge rusher, but then you turn on the tape, and you're like, yeah, that's an edge rusher, man. Because I thought that he was going to be a linebacker, but no, man. I cannot put him at linebacker. He is just so good. Polished, before I even talked about his athleticism, which is freakish, I put polished finesse rusher was the first on his strength because he's a polished finesse rusher. And I wasn't expecting it, honestly. I was expecting an athletic freak who would just kind of throw himself at the tackle and not really see much results. But no, he surprised me. Like, he legitimately knew what he was doing. May have the best counter bag in the class. Maybe. That inside dip and rip is the stuff of nightmares for tackles. The speed He just collapses the cushion. I have a true A+ grade on his speed. It is that good. And his get off is ridiculous. I'd argue it's better from the linebacker position though, because you see him you look at where he was when the play is about to start, and then you look at where he is like half a second later, and nobody else has moved, and he is already halfway across the field. He's already mauling some poor tight end, and it's just like, what are you supposed to do, man? He's an insane athlete and a polished finesse rusher, and that's all you really need to know about. Well, that's not all you need to know, but those are his two things. Also, finesse rusher, he's also a really good pass rusher, a power rusher.
He ragdolls some guys with the long arm. He absolutely destroyed Calvin Banks. I just wrote up Calvin Banks, and not a lot of guys get through Calvin Banks. And that long arm to push-pull dropped him multiple times.
Dude, the push-pull, probably the best push. A lot of guys tried the push-pull this year. I don't think anybody did it better than Jalon Walker did. Maybe. No. Nobody did it better than Jalon Walker did. And it's like, well, he's 240. How is he speed to power, man? That's what it is. It's force equals mass times acceleration. He's got the acceleration. May not have the mass, but the acceleration makes up for it. And he just bowls through guys. And when you know where to hit, that matters. This is a guy who clearly watches a lot of tape. Clearly a smart guy. And also another thing, everybody at Georgia loved him. They said he was a high character guy, one of the best leadership guys in the class. He was the QB of that defense. He was getting everybody going during the final stretch of the season. And he's a true junior to make all of it better. So all of this great stuff, polished edge rusher, while having very few true edge snaps this year, like legitimately a rotational edge level of snaps just because he played linebacker half the time, and a true junior, and is already one of the most polished edge rushers in the class. I don't know what else to say about that. Your complaint about him as a pass rusher may be his bend is good, not great. I think that is what I'd say, but other than that, I don't know. And he also, true hybrid. There's tweeners, then there's hybrids. Tweeners are the guys that, I don't know if he can play either position, but he's in between both of them size-wise. Hybrids are the guys who are in between both of them size-wise and can play both positions. Jalon Walker, linebacker and edge. Travis Hunter, cornerback and wide receiver. Jared Wilson, interior offensive lineman and cornerback.
Clearly.
Yeah. These are the hybrids, and he is a hybrid. I'll let you take it away for some more talk. But one more thing I wanted to say. Best QB spy I've seen in the last 3 years.
Do you have a bona fide first-round grade on him?
No, I do not. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. You can't be that small and have that short arms and get a first-round grade because I think he's a good linebacker. I don't think he's probably a linebacker at the next level. He's a fun linebacker. I think if you drafted him at linebacker, he could absolutely work out. It just wouldn't. He can't be that small and be a true round one grade. He's the closest thing to it. He will probably be my number one round 1 through 2 guy.
I think that we see him literally the exact same way. Not to just quote the write-up, but in my list of strengths for him.
I love quoting the write-up. I wrote this shit for a reason so I can remember. Everybody blends together. When you watch 12 to 13 edge rushers,
it's so hard to recall.
You got to remember all of it, and the write-up that's what it's there for.
I said powerful, instinctive hands will only become more effective with better aiming points in a deeper bag of moves. Has the hand-eye coordination to intercept punches, effective swipes, and forklifts. Competent day one moveset with a two-hand speed chop, club swim, inside spin, and decent power package. Occasional stab and counter win show nice development. Probably the only guy I've ever seen pull off a long arm forklift. For the uninitiated, a forklift is usually a variant of the bull rush where you grab the tackle's wrists and you push them up towards his head, and that kind of indirectly helps you win the leverage battle. It's also just a very uncomfortable position to be in for a tackle. And the tackle goes to that sort of one-handed punch trying to beat him to the outside because Walker is faking speed to power. And he's about to come back in on the long arm, and he's like, oh, I'll take this. And then just shoves his arm above him, uses that offhand to kind of smack the tackle in the back, and boom, he's around the edge for a QB hit or a sack. It's really hard to gauge the true bend of Georgia edge rushers.
It is.
Because they're just not really allowed to win that way.
They don't tell them. I think they tell them, never I will put you in a car with the starting cornerback at 2 a.m. when he has a blood alcohol level of 0.31. If you try to turn the corner on the outside shoulder.
It's the exact same thing with Mykel Williams, where I think that his pass rush win rate is misleading because they're not really encouraged to win. They're encouraged.
So Mykel Williams with he's half his snaps in the 4-eye.
Watching Tyrion Ingram Dawkins play contain nose tackle in tight fronts just made me want to bash my fucking head into the table. It's like, why even try? It's the equivalent of not doing anything at all. And there's just a lot of that with Georgia rushers, where it's all about push the pocket and keep contain. I think that Jalon Walker can bend just fine. I think he's a very heady run defender. Not the headiest run defender in this class like you might expect from a player who's a very competent linebacker. Just to talk about him at linebacker a little bit, I did write him up and put him on my board as a linebacker because I think there's a scenario where a team is desperate enough for a linebacker that they would entertain that being his main position since he is such a size outlier at edge. He's a thumping Mike who likes to throw himself into the run pathways. His biggest strengths are shedding blocks and tackling, which I think is very solid but not elite. Doesn't have the side-to-side athleticism to play man coverage, I don't think. I just don't think his hips are quite fluid enough. Yeah. He's fast enough. You can drop him into coverage, and he can run on a crosser. He can snap onto it and actually take that receiver to the sideline. It's really special. In zone coverage, I thought he was an absolute traffic cone. The dude spent so much time not covering anything. It felt at times like he was going out of his way to not cover anything. But I don't want to bag on him as a linebacker because he's got the most important trait, which is toughness and leadership. Outstanding football character. The reason I've got a true one on this guy is because you just know he's going to be a quality starter. He's going to find a spot. I don't care if he's an outlier. Like you said, he's a hybrid. He is too talented. He is too smart, and he is too motivated to bust in any way.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, he is small. He will fuck you up in the run game. He's going to mess you up. And it's like that. Him being small plays to it is his advantage because you're going to come in there, he's 6'1", 243. And then you're going to get your chest caved in by a guy who is legitimately one of the better edge setters in the class. Also, the linebacker instincts play incredibly well. The one thing I'd say about him, as a linebacker, he's a step slow to pretty much everything as far as recognizing things. As an edge, he's a step above. He's a step forward. He's recognizing everything quickly because the speed of play at linebacker is so much quicker than edge as far as having to recognize everything because you got to be in your spot. You got to be in your spot immediately. Edge, you got a half a second extra.
It is a different speed.
Jalon Walker, he's a quarter second late as a linebacker. He's a quarter second early as an edge. So that's another thing. He can get down there. He can anchor. Again, the knee bend that we talk about. He's a fantastic tackler, just doesn't miss it. Whether he's in the open field or whether he's in tight quarters, he's not going to miss. He takes great angles when chasing running backs down to the sideline. I mean, man, it's just, there's a lot of stuff that he's just super good at. And I don't know. The one thing that kept me from giving him a true one is if he had elite bend, I think he would be a true one for me. But I didn't see it. But maybe that's the Georgia factor. I didn't weigh that as much. And also, I don't know. I feel like I might watch that again. I might watch it again, just to see if I think his bend would be a little bit better. I don't know about that one. Either way, he's a fun player. He should be drafted very highly. And that's the thing. When you see a 1 through 2 grade for us in this class, and we're talking about a player this highly, and it's like he shouldn't fall out of the first round. That's just because there's not a lot of true ones in this class. So for me, I think I have 13 or 14 right now, and I doubt I get more than 16 by the end of it.
On your big board?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I've watched most of the guys that are consensus true ones. I think the only guy I haven't gotten to is Derek Harmon. And he's not a consensus true one. He's a consensus 1 through 2.
It's not a top-heavy class whatsoever.
No. So Walker will most likely, in most of my mock drafts, in my mock draft, my final mock draft, our final mock draft, BallsTalkSports final mock draft, he'll most likely be a top 20 pick. So, yeah, I feel like we talked a lot about him, and we still could have said so much more.
Time for the 1 through 3.
All right. We have the same 3 guys, theoretically.
We do, right?
Theoretically.
So obviously we do.
Do we though?
But how?
Because wait,
How
hold
did
on.
how did I end up with two guys you don't have in your top 10? And I think you only had one that. No, you had Jack Sawyer.
Yes.
And the
Your
guy
number
from
th-
LSU you were talking about, who's
Bradyn
like
Swinson.
the best wrecking ball of all time.
Yeah. Your number 3's from Central Arkansas, right?
Oh, clearly, David
Yeah,
Walker's my
David
guy.
Walker.
He's Mike Green, but better. Mike Green, but a
Exactly.
clean sheet.
Mike who?
I'm really interested to see if we
The
have the
order.
same order
Yeah.
of 1 and 2.
I don't think we will because I don't think you're gonna. Why don't we go one at a time? Number 3,
That's Shemar.
Mykel Williams for me.
I've got Mykel at 2,
Number 2 is Shemar Stewart.
and you've got Abdul at 1.
Yeah,
as
it
do
hurt. I don't know. I didn't think he would be 1 when I watched him, but he's a good player. All right, let's do Mykel Williams first because you have. I'll take Shemar Stewart because I have him at 2. You take Mykel Williams because you have him 2.
That sounds good. So I wasn't expecting to love Mykel Williams based on some of the things I've heard about him. Everybody knows that he's a really outstanding run defender.
Oh yeah,
Just
best in the class.
a guy who wears 260 pounds like it's 248. He absolutely looks the part. Nobody is moving him off of his spot. Really excellent tackler. There's a ton to like there. So that was as advertised. He doesn't have the pass rushing production. I mean, we'll get to Shemar Stewart in a second. He doesn't have the numerical production, and he doesn't have the win rate production either, which is important to note. Oh my God, is he a victim of Georgia's scheme? Repeatedly, I saw him using his long arms, 34 3/8 inches, among the longest in this class, to distance himself from his blocker and creating a leverage or angle advantage, and then Georgia's scheme wouldn't let him finish it. And once he does get by his man, he's going to hit him hard. He's not pulling a James Pearce Jr. and failing to finish the play and letting the quarterback get away. I thought his bend was very adequate for a player of his size. I didn't think it was
Shocked me.
outstanding.
No, but it was for somebody 6'5", 265, 34.5-inch arms, you should not be able to move like that.
His lateral agility is what really popped to me. He's just an absolutely stellar size-adjusted mover. And then sort of the bombshell comes out that the reason that his production didn't take a big step up is because he's apparently hurt for a good duration of the year. It's like, yeah, I'm going to take a leap of faith with this guy. So one of my favorite parts of the process is choosing the sort of projection players that I'm willing to bet on versus the ones that I'm not. And I am really confident in Mykel Williams, not just because of the floor as a guy who wins with athleticism and is a fantastic run defender. He profiles very similarly to Travon Walker, but like bendier and just better in most categories. Also going to be just a destructive force on stunts, both as a looper and as a penetrator.
He's more similar to Walker than Stewart is, but Stewart's been getting all the Walker comps.
Stewart's getting no. Well, I mean they're close, but Mykel is, I think, infinitely closer to Travon Walker.
I agree.
The way Mykel Williams operates, it's not just like, oh, sure, he plays with his hair on fire. Like, you love to see that, but it is controlled violence. He has extremely active hands, and I think he just needs to improve his aiming points. He's already starting to show some real pass rush moves, which is not easy to do when you play for Georgia. Reports of his character aren't as outstanding as they are for Jalon Walker, but Jalon Walker is absolutely, like, I rate character on a scale of 2 to 8, and he's like an 8-tool character type of player. Like, it's stuff that he'll get a movie on if he's a really good player. Everything I hear about Mykel Williams is great. He's coachable, no background issues or anything like that. He's young, and like I already said, he was banged up, and you could tell at times. Like, the games after that injury, you could see him, and he would go hard, and he has got a ferociously high motor, and then he's kind of limping on his foot, and as soon as he starts limping, he covers it right back up, and he's back into I'm a tough football player mode. There's a ton to like with Mykel Williams. He's a projection, but I think he's the projection that I'm most comfortable with so far out of any more tools-based players that I've watched in this year's class.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that injury thing is super real, though, because I watched, I think the first game I watched of him was against Alabama or Texas, maybe. I can't remember, but it was one of the ones mid to later way of the season. And towards the end, I was like, man, he's just not getting off the line quick. I don't know. I mean, I like the rest of it a lot, but he's not getting off the line quick. Then I watched the Clemson game, which was the only game he played clean of the injury. I was like, holy fuck. That guy is the freakiest edge I've seen since the last edge I watched, which was Abdul Carter. But size-adjusted athleticism, man, he's got it. Legitimately superhuman burst. Like 1 to 5 and 5 to 10. Honestly, 10 to 20. Maybe not 40. I haven't seen him run 40 because he just runs into the guard every time because he's playing 4-eye. But
I saw some snaps where he was able to pursue on the back end. I'm not saying that he's got like 4.6 speed. He ran a disappointing time at his pro day, which I mean it's a fucking pro day 40 time.
Also, he's probably still a little hurt.
That's kind of what I was thinking with him because watching him pursue, I think it wasn't backside pursuit actually. It was a coverage drop where he was hustling to the flats, and I just went, "Oh my god." I had to check to see if I was watching the wrong player because the fluidity to turn his hips and get out there and cover up the running back, beat the running back to his spot. Holy hell, the dude can go 20 to 40. He can go 40 to 60. He's got it all.
Explain to me why I think he could actually be a decent coverage dropper. Like, you throw him out there.
He can.
Because, like, the upside is, what if he gets a pick? Nobody's bringing him down. It's an automatic touchdown.
Who was it who just absolutely he caught Jacoby Myers' gift? That was Chandler Jones, right? And just puts Mac Jones in the turf. It's gonna be like that, but with the entire team.
Exactly. I mean, he's that good of a player. He has the highest graded power rushing grade of anybody.
I don't even think I mentioned that. Excellent bull rusher. Gets the hands inside and drives through tackles. He also killed Kelvin Banks multiple times.
The Kelvin Banks. Listen, man, nobody is that good but has faced that many elite edge rushers this season. Talk about battle-tested. Kelvin Banks is battle-tested.
3-year starter. He started every year of high school as well. 7 years of being a stud starter in a row. Guy's going to be good. But anyway, we'll save that for the offensive tackles episode.
But, I mean, I consider long arm a power, as most people do as well, so that's factored in. But his long arm is legitimately unbeatable because you just can't get a hold off him. And his bull rush, too. I mean, it is just nuts. A pure pocket collapser in its biggest form. I mean, you cannot stop him no matter who you are, no matter how strong you are. He's going to get his in the power rushing game. The only reason it's an A- for me, that is the highest grade in this class. I'm not super high on any of the power rushers. I mean, I like Shemar Stewart. He was B+, spoiler. But the only reason I didn't have him super high is because I think he got snatched one too many times for my taste. Like, he got predictable sometimes, but that's okay because the other times you just killed him. So, yeah, I mean, he's a really polished bull rusher. There's something there. There's some wiggle there. There's some bend there. There's something there with the finesse stuff. I saw him try it. I really did. With the hand usage, it was raw. It was he's kind of out of control, but you harness that in. If he's coachable, as you said, you harness that in. There's something there, and if he can diversify his finesse portfolio, if he can make that even average by NFL standards and translate that power plus that elite run defense, super size athlete, if he was healthy and tested fully at the combine, might have taken Shemar Stewart a run for his money at the 10 RAS score. Legitimately superstar ceiling. I mean, number one edge in the league ceiling. Nobody has the tools like him. And I already feel confident that at the very least you're getting a guy who is tough, can defend the run like nobody's business, and has a decent power profile. So he's actually got a solid floor, too. I don't know. He's a true one for me. Barely missed the top 10 mark. Barely missed it. Really great prospect.
He did get the top 10 designation for me. One last note. I believe the only player in the class whose motor I described as maniacal. The way that he confronts double teams, like he just doesn't even care that he's getting double teamed, guy's going to be a good football player.
Number one double teamer in the class of anybody, Kenneth Grant. Freak. Number two is Mykel Williams.
There you go. And just to be clear, Kenneth Grant plays an entire different position, although
he's a 340-pound nose
does take some work as a 5-tech as well.
That's true. And also, what Mykel Williams brings, you can throw him in at 4-eye, and he's proven to you he can do it. He can win from the pass rush. He's also a really great stunt man, so you can be creative with him. He's a chess piece as well. Throw him at Mike.
Do it.
Yeah.
I think I actually had that exact same thought. It was after the play where he flipped his hips, and it was like, holy shit, if you put this guy at Mike linebacker, like, don't get me wrong, he's going to have weaknesses. But imagine being the running back.
Dude, this is the 80s. He's the best linebacker of all time.
Running backs are sliding now.
Oh, yeah. They are afraid of him. All right.
Shemar time. All yours.
Shemar Stewart and Mykel Williams basically have identical grades for me. Actually, Mykel Williams came in significantly higher on my model, but I like Shemar Stewart better as the prospect because my model's not very good. So, but Shemar is, I think he's a better athlete than Mykel Williams, which is really hard to say, but
he's insane.
I legitimately, absolutely nuts. That first step, it's outrageous. It's unnatural.
It's insane. He's
invincible. I mean, I literally wrote it down about 3 weeks ago or a month ago when I did the eval. First sentence of the write-up. Shemar Stewart has a legitimate chance to be the 10 RAS guy. And then he goes out there and becomes the 10 RAS guy. He's a super athlete. I think he's 267 at the combine.
Yep.
6'5".
And he looks like he's 252.
Yeah.
The way he carries it is ridiculous.
But he's as strong as a 280-pounder, and he moves like a 252-pounder. He's got the best of both worlds. In the way with Nic Scourton, where we're kind of like, oh, I don't know. You know about Shemar Stewart. He can do it either way. Pretty much the only concern people have shown consistently, let me just try to find concerns I have with his game, because there's not many.
I've got a lot.
I'm sure you
Go
have
ahead.
a lot.
No, I'm not trying to interrupt.
No, you're good. There's not many concerns I have with his game. I think he's less agile than Mykel Williams is. I don't think there's as much twitch there. I still think the bend's decent. As a finesse rusher, I think he's less polished, but I think he has more potential than Mykel Williams. As far as hand usage goes, and as far as like legitimate getting around the corner, I think there's something there. And I think he tried quite a bit of stuff that I liked. I think he's a great run defender. Anchor, as violent shedder. I will say, though, again, a guy that I want to see, just like Mykel Williams. That was my complaint with Mykel Williams in run defense. I need to see the diagnoser come up. 21-year-old juniors, though, without too many reps, I think it will come with time. Both guys that we talked about coachable. He's an incredible tackler. I think his power profile, the reason it was a step below, because I think he did get predictable at times. I thought he got snatched a couple of times. I would have liked to see speed to power a little bit better, but the flashes were there. The biggest flashes were there, and that was the most important thing. He had a lot of high-quality pressures, which is a great segue into this. I'm not concerned at all about his lack of production. Because I saw a lot of high-quality pressures on his tape. I didn't think that there was a production issue. And then I was like, he has 4.5 sacks in this many years. Okay. I don't care, honestly. I don't care. We're evaluating a football player. We're not evaluating numbers. And I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers. I'm a stats guy. And it's like, but when you're watching a guy, the numbers help a lot. The numbers are there to help your evaluation. When they directly contradict your evaluation, you go back and you watch the tape again, which is what I did. I was like, no, there's a lot of high-quality pressures here. He didn't get the sacks. They will come. Also, Texas A&M, they're not in the Big 12 anymore, but they certainly run a Big 12 defense. What the hell are they doing over there, man? Got him at the 3 tech, got him at the 4-eye, then you have him at the wide 9, telling him to do weird stuff. I don't know. I think he's more of a work in progress than Mykel Williams. I think he has a higher ceiling. If you want to put Mykel Williams over him, I might even have Williams over him by the end. I have a true one on him as well. They're both insane players. They're very similar players in my eyes. There are those little differences, though, and I don't know. I think Shemar Stewart's a fantastic player. So we'll leave it at that. I'm curious to see what you think.
I'm a Shemar Stewart apologist.
Yeah.
I have a top 10 grade on him. When I talk to people online, I do nothing but defend Shemar Stewart for the large part. And based on your description, I do think that we view him very similarly. That being said, the lack of production concerns me, but not purely because of the numbers. He was tied for 89th among Power 5 edge rushers in pass rush win rate. Yeah. And some of that is because they're asking him to be a blow-up man and go from wide 9 to smashing the A-gap and just be disruptive as all hell. And that's technically a pressure opportunity. And by the way, pass rush win rate is about beating your blocker. It is not about pressuring the quarterback. Yeah. That's an important distinction to make. Technically, that's a pressure opportunity, but you're not actually going to get through the center triple team as the blow-up man from a tight front. Part of it's scheme. I thought that his counters were stiff and segmented. I thought that his bend was like 2.5 out of 10.
Really?
I thought it was pretty poor. I think if he did the agility drills at the combine,
He wouldn't have been a 10. No.
he may not have even been a 9.
He would have been a 9.
I think that's fair enough because, like, to be
Well,
clear,
I know how the system. He would have been a 9. Like, it was
true.
he would
You
have
know
had
more
to-
about RAS than I do.
Well, I did a study on it, and it was like he would have had to have, not his specifically, but he would have had to have like a 2, and that's really hard to do.
You would not have had it too.
No.
Guys who weighed 300 pounds and played in the 90s have 2s. I think he's a stiff player. I think that his first step is insane. The first snap I watched him, that was another, oh my God, out loud sort of moment. I completely agree. Man, I think it's his aiming points. He flashes just a pocket detonating long arm. I think the hands get really wide, and he has a very top-heavy build, and he kind of runs out of gas on the bull rush more often than I'd like to see. He's not a good tackler. I think he's just kind of consistently behind the curve as a tackler, and his pursuit angles get very negative, where he'll just be in the wrong position, even though he is ridiculously fast when you adjust for size. I think he's a splash play chaser with blinders on in the run game. Now, this is very coachable. Again, I have a top 10 grade on Shemar Stewart. I absolutely love the guy. I'm much higher on him than consensus.
You gotta give. We're here to give the reasons
Correct.
why you should draft them, and maybe the reasons why you'll be a little concerned.
The guy is more focused on just detonating, say, the tight end running the wham block, the guy who's confronting him, than he is on tackling the ball carrier. He just wants to hurt people, which is commendable, and I love it. This is another player who has a floor because he's an edge setter, and he is explosive when you move him around the line, and he's really athletic. So you can still have him be a pure disruptor, just like Texas A&M. But I think the actually converting pressures into sack stuff, it doesn't surprise me that he has 6 career sacks. And by the way, I'm saying 6 because I count a half a sack as a sack. Like,
Yeah, sure.
you got to the quarterback.
Yeah.
He has 6 cumulative sacks in his career, and I've been an apologist for that to some extent. He didn't play a ton early on in his career, and he does have, he gets some pressure. I think he is one of the worst finishers in this class. Not in that, like, he's a bad tackler, but in terms of, all right, you're in an advantaged position. You've used your strength and your speed and your commendable agility at your size to put yourself in a position where with a good move you can beat the tackle. His ability to turn that into a hit or a sack, I thought was damn close to bottom of the barrel. That is why he scares the hell out of me as a top 10 pick. But man, I didn't go with the Myles Garrett high comp. There are a lot of similarities.
Oh yeah.
He could be really, really, really good.
Yeah, I think Stewart has the higher potential. Ultimately, I think why I decided to go with him over Williams was he's more of a work in progress because you need. I think he's less technically refined. I think he's tried more stuff though. I think he's got a bigger bag that he can go to because I think he's a little twitchier than. I think I may have a higher grade on that than you do. That just happens though. It's why we scout. You know what I mean?
Mykel Williams is just throwing his hands in salvos as opposed to really
Yeah.
doing moves. Shemar Stewart actually has like inside and outside scissors moves that you saw got better from 23 to 24. He's getting there.
Yeah, and one thing that's harder to teach, that was one of my biggest knocks on Williams. Again, I still have a true one on him. I love him. I think he plays really upright. Shemar Stewart, I didn't see that. I mean, this is a guy who knows how to use leverage. For a 6'6", 6'5" guy, that's really impressive. And that was the one thing that's hard to teach. Knowing how to use leverage for a really tall guy, that's hard to teach. And those were his best. His best days, his best reps. So he's a projection for sure, and it's a risk, but it's a risk I'm willing to take. Well, risk I'm willing to throw out there again. True ones on both of them. They're both fantastic players, and I'm surprised that not everybody is there with us.
I'm surprised with Mykel. With Shemar Stewart, it feels like
I'm not surprised there.
the football community's increasingly willing to be like, this guy didn't have production, but it was scheme, it was luck. We're willing to bet on the traits. I think that's becoming more accepted. Like Chop Robinson went in the first round last year. But Chop Robinson had like 8 sacks over the 2 seasons that he played meaningful reps. Shemar Stewart, it's important to acknowledge, this is a guy with a 10.0 RAS score who is like big as hell as well. And he got to the quarterback 6 times in his entire college career.
It is scary. It is scary. But it's something, some of the technique issues, I'm willing to bet on it.
Me too.
I think it's something that the rest of his issues, they cover it. So it's like, if you think that will get better, the production will naturally come along with it. It's not like a separate issue. It's tied into the rest of those things. So it's like when people are talking about his production, I think, let's talk about the reason why he didn't get that elite production, because that is not a separate thing as to his lack of elite technique or anything. That is a direct correlation to why he did not get that production. So we need to put 2 and 2 together, I think, there. But Mykel Williams, it's very surprising that I think I've seen a lot more people come around on it now. Like, he's going top 10 in quite a few mocks, rarely falls into the 20s, which is where I think he should go. Honestly, after pick 4,
they're all the same.
Pick whoever you want, man. I did a mock last night just for fun, and at 5, I was like, man, I don't know who the hell to pick. Even if it wasn't the Jags, trade anybody up there. They're all not worthy of 5 in a normal class, but they're all fantastic players, and I have no idea who's better than the other.
Default to the most fun, Tyler Warren.
Yeah, that is actually what I went with, Tyler Warren and the
is.
Jags. You know I'm a Tyler Warren guy.
He's like, he can do everything Evan Ingram can, but also the real tight end stuff.
He can do everything Evan Ingram can, and he can do everything.
Plus be a good football player.
He can do everything Evan Ingram can as well.
All right. Do we have any big surprises at number 1? No, we already
David
called
Walker
it out.
at Central Arkansas. No, we have Abdul Carter at number 1, and I think we're both slightly lower on him than consensus, because a lot of people seem to think he's a blue chipper.
Disagree.
I have a 10. I have a top 10 grade on him.
Me too.
Which is still insane. He's still my number 1 edge rusher. And I don't like to talk bad about edge rushers. I don't like to talk bad about these guys because, they're college football. They're college prospects. I mean, how would I like it if some random fuck-ass motherfucker comes on the podcast and talks about my math skills? He's like, listen, man, his ability to solve the third derivative is quite bad. That the third derivative win rate is low compared to the other math majors. So like, okay, well, fuck you.
Well, I don't think it's raw. I think it's green.
It's green. See, I appreciate that.
I'm willing to take that gamble.
I need more reps. How would I like it? But we're scouting. It's important. And it's also like, no, they're not going to hear this.
And they're going to make millions of dollars.
Yeah, once we start making millions of dollars, once we start doing it, maybe we'll focus less on that. We'll still talk about it.
They can go on the podcast and critique us.
Exactly.
That's the only fair way to do it.
It's fair. It's fair. We'll get them to come to the University of Tulsa.
They always deliver a good show, but I hear it takes them like 45 minutes to get the mic set up every time.
Actually, not today. Normally it takes 45 minutes. Today, it's clean 5 minutes, guys. It was. I think it's a record.
Oh, that's excellent. Initially, you were getting locked up, but then you went to the counter, got the job done.
Exactly. Nic Scourton could learn from me. But yeah, Abdul Carter as a player, it's weird. He's the number 1 prospect, but he's the number 1 edge prospect. But out of the top 7 or top 5, because Pearce is 6, he is the most negatives for me.
He is a bad pass rusher.
I don't think he's bad. I think I might be a little bit higher in his pass rushing than you are.
To be clear, when I say he's a bit I mean that all the things you remove athleticism, which
yes.
I'm going to say that athleticism is burst to the outside shoulder. It is first step. It's the closing burst ability to sack the quarterback. It's flexion. It's balance. I'm going to leave speed to power in there because that's a lot about aiming points. You take all that out, I think he's
pure technique.
I haven't watched a lot of really bad prospects up until this year. I wouldn't get into the 5th, 6th round developmental guys in the past. I think he's the worst pass rusher I've ever watched. I didn't really see a single redeemable thing about him. And I have top 10. I'll go to the write-up and see if I wrote anything nice. I have the grade that is in between top 10 and top 5. It's a 6.80, and I went with top 10 to prove a point.
Pure technique-wise, I think he's better pure technique-wise than JT Tuimaleo and Baron Sorrell, the guys I've watched.
I have not watched Sorrell. I'm surprised you have him of Tuimaleo. Oh my God. Tuimaleo. That is a tough name to say. from what I've seen, and I'm not all the way through his eval, doesn't really like do a lot.
Yeah.
And Abdul Carter doesn't either, so I can understand that.
Part of being a great pass rusher is being able to harness your elite athleticism. So technique is also, how can I use my athleticism to win? Because we've seen a lot of great athletes not maximize it. Abdul Carter maximizes it, and I consider that part of pass rushing, which is why he is a higher finesse grade for me. He's quite a high. He's a B finesse grade for me.
That's fair enough. That's winning with finesse.
Yes, but the reason it's not A is because I saw him use his hands like maybe twice. Every time it's just, well, I'm going to run as fast as I can to the outside shoulder. Then I am going to use the gifts that God gave me and stop so fast the earth turns, and I'm going to kill the quarterback. It works. Keep doing it. At Penn State, at least. Now the question is, when that elite offensive tackle in the league beats you to that point, because he's also a freak athlete. Actually, though, we say that about a lot of freak. Carter is legitimately a top-tier NFL athlete. He is...
I gave him 80 tool speed.
1% of the 1% in the NFL. Like, when we talk about elite athletes, we're generally talking about college. And then in the NFL, they'll be really good athletes. Some of them will be elite athletes. Carter's better than elite. I mean, he's immediately probably a top 5, top 3 pure athlete at the edge rusher position.
I got him in tier 1.
Like, there's just... It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And that's why he is going to go so high in the draft, because we have never seen an athlete. We've seen maybe a couple athletes like this at the edge position ever.
And why I'm comfortable betting on him, well, there are a couple reasons. But one of the big ones is he doesn't just have truly an elite first step. His quickness, I believe, don't quote me on this, maybe out of the guys I've done scouting reports on, the only elite grade I have given out, and I entertained generational on it.
Oof.
It's, man, it doesn't make sense when you watch it, because it's not just quick and it doesn't just gain ground, but how smooth he is and how good his snap timing is starting to get. This was an off-ball linebacker for anybody who's not initiated. He played dramatically more snaps, is like a true, I think he played boundary will. They actually played him at Mike as a freshman, and then they moved him to Will as a sophomore.
Still played some Mike as a sophomore.
So that's like an entirely different position, and then they stuck him on the edge. And he's just, yeah, he's trending towards having, like, outstanding snap timing. So it's not just that, and it's not just the fact that he is probably the bendiest prospect that I've ever evaluated. I don't think he's literally perfect. I think he has to go to the ground a lot, but he's so good at going to the ground that it's really not an issue.
He's got elite balance, too.
Because his corrective athleticism is outstanding, and he is just strong as hell for his size. Another guy who looks like he's carrying less weight than he is. It's all muscle. He's young. It's going to fill out. His ability to just take a sledgehammer to the shoulder and keep on going like he didn't even feel it, outstanding. He manhandles tight ends. Like, there are tight ends who weigh the same amount as Abdul Carter, who he just picks up and chucks to the side. And people talk about his run defense like it's a big negative. Man, I think it's really good. He's not the best at digging his heels in and holding the edge because he's not the biggest guy. That is a very physically driven trait. I think he plays the run really smart. And not to get like too ridiculously technical, but what I think people see is they see him turning the tackle's shoulder into the backfield when he's fitting the run, and then they see the running back run through that vacated hole. However, what I noticed every time that he chose to take the outside shoulder of the tackle as opposed to kind of playing it down the middle or stemming on the inside shoulder is there was always a slot corner or a safety or a linebacker ready to fill that gap. And I think essentially what they've told him is just get to the outside and basically be the forced defender, like be what the free safety or the perimeter cornerback would be and wall off that sideline, spill it and kill it to the inside. And I didn't see him bust any run fits. I think he finds the football. His nose for the football in both phases, I think, is outstanding. Just a really high motor. And I said he had run-ins with the law earlier. Are you aware of those?
Yeah.
Gotten booked for marijuana, was cooperative, and it sounded like he picked up a... That's what I heard. I heard that he had no issues with the police.
Yeah. No, that's what I heard, too. Who cares?
He picked up a forklift driver who was... not a forklift, a tow truck driver who was from what I heard, threatening to tow his car away in suspect fashion. It sounds, and again, it's funny because you have to like figure this out based on what they write in the newspaper. Like he picked him up and tossed him down on some grass, and so he got booked for assault. However, what a lot of people don't know, and this is like totally out of left field, this should not be in a draft podcast, is like assault is the feeling intimidated part. There is a reason he was not booked for battery. The tow truck driver felt threatened by his actions, but was not harmed in any meaningful way by them. All the reports are that he's really coachable, he's smart, he's really undeveloped as a pass rusher. He's getting better, and he's played it for one season. His development track is best in class.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I want to say that makes me nervous, the reason he's not a blue chipper, his not good games were all the ones against good tackles. Milam in West Virginia, Nelson and Malman at Wisconsin, and Bo at Purdue, Johnny Cornelius and Josh Connerly at Oregon. Those were his quiet games. Those were all of the best tackles that he played. He beat up on bad competition. He ran around the outside. It's still Big Ten bad competition. I don't think he's that immediate, devastating pass rusher like people make it out to be. I think Daniel Jeremiah wrote up that his spin move was, quote, game-breaking. It's funny because I think that he spins like a ball carrier. He spins and he stays where he is, and it's like the tackle has to fall through him for the tackle to lose. He doesn't gain any ground on it. It could be really good. He could be really good. He's going to be really good because he's smart and strong and ridiculously athletic and has coverage versatility and will blow guys up on stunts. He has a real floor about him. But in terms of becoming an elite player, it could happen. I think it probably will happen.
Yeah.
But you got to project it. And now I'll stop talking.
No, I loved it, man. That was insane. That was a great breakdown. I thought the run fit point was a great point. I was going to make that point, but couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh my God, the ball knowledge between us, just outstanding.
It's
great
incredible.
minds think alike.
But it's like people will talk about his run defense, and I was like, no, he's playing the run fit. Edges don't exist in a vacuum. They exist as a part of a greater. All run defenders exist as a part of a greater run fit, and he plays it most often because Penn State was using him in the correct way to probably play the run fit. Hey, we're gonna have you crash here sometimes, or we're gonna have you set an edge, and he just crashed more than people were used to, and I think they thought, oh, he's just making the wrong decision. No. Did you notice that every time that he crashed and it looked like, oh, he made the wrong decision, there was a linebacker there filling in? Just because Kobe King sucks doesn't mean that Abdul Carter sucks. Like, just because Kobe King couldn't make the tackle or move laterally 2 feet to make the tackle doesn't mean that's Abdul Carter's fault. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's the freakiest of freaks when it comes to athletes. He didn't test at the Combine, which is a smart move, but I would have loved to see it.
Like 4.38.
Yeah, let's go through all. I grade out 5 athletic tools and then 2 parts I consider get off and bend pass rush quality. So that goes into the pass rush score.
Agreed.
But I will put those as I'm going to read them off. Size B+, a little small, but the arm length makes up for it. Speed A+. By the way, for the entirety of the edge position outside of Abdul Carter, I gave out 1 A+ for any trait, any other trait. Jalon Walker got the A+ for speed. Abdul Carter, A+ speed. Agility, A+. Acceleration, A+. Strength,
believe it or not,
B+.
Oh.
Get off, A+.
There you go.
Bend, A+. 5 A+ out of 6 total trait grades. 6 total traits given 8 A+ in this class, and Abdul Carter owns 5 of them. Never mind. Sorry, there are 7. Jalon Walker owns 2 of them, actually, because I gave him an A+ coverage grade, because for an edge, he's an A+ cover.
I agree. Well, okay, this is a really dumb tangent. I'll let you get back to Abdul Carter in a second. I actually think that Jalon Walker is not the best coverage dropper in this class.
Who?
I think James Pearce Jr. is better, and I think Josaiah Stewart's better.
I haven't watched Stewart. I disagree on Pearce.
I saw James Pearce Jr. pick up on concepts. I saw him cover 3 routes in one play. I think it's not like as comically outstanding as it could be. I really, really liked his coverage drop ability. Anyway.
That's the thing. I think his coverage drop ability was good. I have it as an A. I just don't think that we would have seen that on the same reps, because I also saw a lot of times where he was a traffic cone as well.
Oh, sure.
And coverage dropping, whenever Jalon Walker coverage dropped, it was scary. It was insane.
He gets out there. That is
Like-
very true. He gets out there and he hits his landmark, and he's, I think, almost better as a coverage dropper than he is as a traditional zone dropping linebacker.
There is a massive difference between being a traditional zone dropping linebacker and a coverage dropping, and that traditional zone. There's a reason linebacker is one of the highest, skill gaps, one of the highest skill. What's the word I'm looking for?
Learning
ceilings?
curves?
Yeah, learning curves in the league. There's a reason it's such a high bust rate because it's very hard to learn. So the fact that Jalon Walker did it competently gave him an A+. But anyway, 5 A+ is just unheard of. There are 5 A+ in this entire thing. Travis Hunter actually is 2. We'll get to him in the wide receivers episode, baby. We'll see. But yeah, back to Abdul Carter. I mean, he's a bad pass rusher, but in a year's time, he will not be a bad pass rusher. I cannot give him a top 5 blue chip grade because I can't know that, but I'm pretty damn sure. And according to philosophy, we can't know anything. So you just take your best shot. And my best shot is that Abdul Carter will most likely be a very good edge, will most likely be a solid pass rusher, year 1, developing run defender. Year 2, he'll break out, he'll make a Pro Bowl, he'll be a good to great pass rusher, and then he's going to be elite in year 3. We'll see if he makes that elite jump. If he never does, then maybe it makes sense. Maybe our grades are redeemed. But if he does, then we'll look like idiots. But I am more than happy to look like an idiot. Also, we won't look like complete idiots because we have top 10 grades on him. It's not a bad grade.
I have the second highest impact grade, how good they are on day 1, of any edge rusher on Abdul Carter after I just did a hit job on his technical pass rushing. That is what a special prospect he is. I think he's a day 1 quality starter.
I also think it's important to note with Carter, we talk all the time about technical ability and hand usage and footwork and how are you interacting with the tackle? Do you see what's coming? Are you a smart player? That matters to a certain point. But let's look at some of the best edge rushers in the league.
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons doesn't do a damn thing except hit that outside corner and then occasionally hit him with a counter and a spin. And it's just impossible to stop. So when you get to a certain level of athlete, yeah, you can live with that. Max Crosby just hits spins and swipes the entire game, and he's lethal. Myles Garrett, half of his reps are just the long arm, and it's impossible to stop. Because all you really need is 1 or 2 elite pass rush moves and a couple of other good ones, and you're set. If you can develop the rest of them, then you get to legend Lawrence Taylor status. But I think if you're picking Abdul Carter at 2, if you're Cleveland, you're perfectly happy getting Micah Parsons. I think you're very happy to get Micah Parsons. If you knew Abdul Carter was going to turn into Micah Parsons, he'd go number 1 overall, above Travis Hunter.
If you've got speed, power, counter, and you're really, really good at all 3, to me, all the other stuff is just decoration. That's what Abdul Carter can have.
That's the thing with Carter, though. One thing I worry about, I did not see speed to power. I did not see the Landon points hitting my marks. But again, you gotta trust the process. All the top 3 guys are really trust the process, which is super weird. I always love to have a guy in the top 3 edge rushers that I feel like, okay, this is not the floor play, but the guy I trust. I know he's going to be Aiden Hutchinson 2 years ago, for example. Perfect example of what I'm talking about. Last year was Laiatu Latu, where he's a guy you just know is going to be a starter at the very least, and he's got great ceiling too. Maybe he doesn't have the ceiling these other guys do, but he's a great player. We don't have that. That kind of scares me. So when we look back at this class, top 3 guys bust because, some stuff happens. Some guys down the board get in trouble with the law. Ezeiruaku and Walker never make it over that size ceiling. This could be an awful edge class, even though it looks like a great one. You just never know with the draft, but that's what's so fun with it. It's only a month away. I can't believe it. Is that the first top 10 ranking? Is it done?
I think it is. Who do we have at number 0?
Oluwafemi Oladejo. I had to make sure I had the name right.
Good call. Now, I looked this up because initially that's exactly how I was pronouncing it. Apparently it is Oladejo. I thought it was Oladejo at first as well. Like that's how you would think it's pronounced.
Oladejo.
Yes, I've heard some people absolutely fucking butcher that name, unsurprisingly.
It's bad.
So I think we get a pass
Yeah.
for messing it up on first attempt. But yeah, I can't wait to watch him. That's going to be a fun one.
And I looked up Ezeiruaku. That is the correct pronunciation. Ezeiruaku. It's not Ezeiruaku is what I was saying first because I was just going phonetically.
Tough names, man.
Yeah, but that is Ezeiruaku. Uman Mielen. That is the correct. I don't know Tuimoloau.
Yeah.
Tuimoloau. I think that you say it's right. I'll believe you. And then David Walker's David Walker.
Is it? Do we know for sure?
No, I think it's David Walker.
I was gonna say David Walker.
David Walker. Yep. That's and his brother Jalon Walker.
My favorite.
Yeah.
They're not related, right?
No.
Just to be clear, I think that would have come up in my background check.
Surely.
That was a sweet episode, man.
That was sweet. Top 10s. We don't know what we're doing next week. If it'll be top 10, if it won't be, we don't plan ahead.
Mock draft 2.0?
Possibly. We'll see. I mean, we're at the point now where we've scouted most guys that would go in the first round.
We've definitely got more tape now.
I hit my 41st player scouted today.
That's sweet. That's awesome. Would you say you have full scouting reports on all these guys? Okay.
That's the thing. I do full scouting reports on everybody I watch. So
Fair enough. Yep.
Even the guys I did a full. I watched Omarion Hampton a couple weeks ago. I generally try to watch another guy with him. By the way, probably not going to get to talk about him at any point during the off season. Willie Lampkin is such a fun player, man.
Fullback.
I think he's a center.
He's a center.
I think he's a center. Honestly, he was worse at center. I think he's a guard or a center. I don't know, man.
He can't be a guard. He's got to be a move center.
He can't be an interior offensive lineman, but he can't not be, man. He's such a fun player. I have a higher grade on him. He's not the lowest graded player in my board. He's higher than Baron Sorrell. He's higher than JJ Pegas. I think that's it, but
he's going to stay there.
He's higher than Shadur Sanders. Just kidding. He's not.
At quarterback or line?
Quarterback.
Clearly.
If he was drafted as a quarterback, top 5.
Wildcat.
He's got size. He's got athleticism. He's got tenacity. You think you're going to tackle him on the first try around? No. But Willie Lampkin's such a fun player. But yeah, I did a full evaluation on him. Every time I watch somebody on All-22, I do the full evaluation. So.
One note, and this is like what's going to end our episode. This absolutely blindsided me. Oh my gosh, I got to make sure I say this correctly. Omarion Hampton.
Omarion.
I double checked with every announcer I could find who called NC State games because I've always said Omarion Hampton.
Yeah.
It is every single time Omarion. That just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. But oh well, I guess.
Omarion.
Yeah.
To be fair, I thought it was
still pretty cool.
I thought it was Scatabo for a while.
It should be.
It
has 1-0.
Yeah, that's also more running back. Honestly, I think Scatabo. I think if his name was Scatabo, I think he'd be a higher prospect grade for me.
Well, if his name was Scatabo, you couldn't yell Scataboo every single time he gets the ball.
This is true. I would. The name factor does factor into my final grade.
Oh, it absolutely should.
It does, and it should.
It affects their on and off field energy.
Yeah, Tyrell McMillan. That's why he's got a high grade for me.
That is such a unique name, man.
That's a great name. That's also why I'm not so bullish on I want to like Josh Simmons. The tape is great, but the name is just that's not a tackle name.
What is that? What position is Josh Simmons? Is that a guard? Because he's not.
Kicker.
I don't think he's a guard. Something like Josh Sanders, I think, is a kicker. That's probably Jason Sanders' brother.
Sanders,
he probably plays for Coastal Carolina.
Jahdae Barron, that's a corner's name.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a guy you know.
Azarie Thomas.
Oh, that's
holy
nasty.
hell!
And then you go to Benjamin Morrison. Kind of works, I think, though.
It's all right. That's
it's
an
enough.
old school press corner
it's
type.
Barely enough. He is not an old school press corner, but he is a press corner.
He roughly fits the description. You got to play to your name.
Travis Hunter's a superstar's name.
Jack Sawyer plays exactly like Jack Sawyer.
Oh, yeah. He plays like a chair.
My favorite brand. Is that going to get us out of here?
I think it is. Woo, what an episode. Glad you stuck around for the end.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay hard.